I thought this was interesting. Emma Stone is opening up about some of the more interesting challenges of filming 2023's Poor Things. She described a dietary difficulty that she faced while filming it. When asked if it was tough to play, now this was leading into this, tough to play an explicitly sexual character, she explained that it wasn't. She said the sexuality of Bella was another part of that. And the way that was going to be shot and how we were going to do it, and our incredible intimacy coordinator and our closed sets and all that. In some ways, that was the easiest part because that was choreographed. Those were quick, and we actually knew what we were doing. She said the bigger challenge was portraying some of Baxter's other emotions and quirks, including the character's eating habits. She said figuring out how to walk or eat 60 Portuguese tarts, which the first bite is delicious, but by the end, you really want to puke.
Oh, God.
Does anybody know what a Portuguese tart is? I've never heard of it.
Is it like a small?
I have no idea.
I have
I have absolutely no idea what a Portuguese tart is. We'll have
I know
Nick
what a tart is, but
look that up.
Yeah, it looks like a little custard tart.
Yeah, yeah.
So they look to be kind of small, but it looks like it's got
20 of them.
some custard in it,
Do you
which
know what
is
I love?
wonderful.
I love when they do it. They'll do like the Boston cream pie little tarts, or they'll do the. I'm a sucker for those. I can rock a number.
Are you
of
talking
those.
about like eclairs type of thing?
No,
or-
they'll put them in like a little pastry cup, and it's like it can be like pudding or mousse or something like this.
Yes.
You know, I love them.
By the way, you know who Emma Stone's boyfriend is in Crazy Stupid Love?
No.
Josh Groban.
Oh,
Shut
that's
up.
right.
Shut the F
it's
up.
his birthday too.
It's the only reason I brought that up.
I know. She said also, or seeing her death and decay for the first time, much more challenging than the nudity, which is the only thing people want to seem to ask me about. So she plays, and I'm not familiar with this movie, she plays a woman who is created when Willem Dafoe's character places the brain of a deceased woman's baby into her body after she dies by suicide.
So she's basically an adult. This is obviously very, very off the wall, sort of Frankenstein-esque plot. But she is learning everything. So with sex, she's discovering that as an adult person, imagine a kid getting
Right.
It's kind of
So she's
in a way.
an adult with a baby brain, right?
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
So everything is new to her.
Stone's performance has already earned her multiple awards this year, so I don't know. Is she up for the Oscar?
I believe she is. Yeah, yeah. And Willem Dafoe has all this scarring on his face in the movie, and he looks very.
I've seen the pictures of him.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Shannon Doherty got candid about her battle with stage 4 breast cancer and how it's affected her libido, not her libo. That's my buddy, Jeff Lieberman.
Yeah.
Lebo.
What's up, Libo?
Yeah, I'm a good friend, Shannon.
What up, Lebo?
Lebo!
Lebo.
Lebo!
Jeff lives here. I hope he hears this. Yeah. What's up, Lieb?
Lebo.
All right.
I don't know Shannon Doherty. Friends with Jenny Garth.
Her libido, not her libo.
Lebo.
All right.
Lebo.
Big ups to Superior Play Systems. He's one of the guys
Oh,
that
yeah?
owns them.
yeah?
I remember you played on their pickleball
I
court.
did. I got my ass handed to me on that pickleball court.
All right, anyhow.
I can set that up at the Camp Out for Hunger if you want. Back to you, Presbo.
Yeah.
I
thank
want
you.
that.
All right, so anyhow, she's talking about her libido.
Not her Lebo.
Well, what about Lebo?
In Monday's episode of her Let's Be Clear podcast, she told her good friend Anne-Marie Cortite, I mean, when you're feeling not great about yourself and that's going to kill your libido. But then when meds take your libido away or it makes things not as pleasant, like sex doesn't feel as good, she says. Courtwright then recounted the time she took the actor to an OBGYN who specializes in women's sexual health. She said, she took me because, I specifically said to her, I need to do something. Things aren't working. This isn't the life I want to live. The OBGYN gave Doherty a sex toy and instructed her how to use it.
What kind?
Courtwright said that she had never seen her this embarrassed. I guess she was there when
It
the
was
doctor
a
was doing
double-headed
it.
Lebo.
And she said, I was beet red. I'm turning red just thinking about it right now. So she actually went to a doctor to find out how to help the sexual health.
What was the new one we were talking about? And I think it is actually for... it's for men. It is a like a prostate massager, and It kind of looks like a shoehorn. We were talking about this a little while ago.
were?
Yeah, we were.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but yeah. Oh, there's all sorts of innovation in the world of sex toys.
Yes, there is. Absolutely. Speaking of interesting things below the belt, Martha Stewart never wears underwear.
Wow.
Really?
That explains the cats.
This was she was speaking at the Old Bags Luncheon. Literally,
I like that.
That
The
is
old
great.
The Old Bags Luncheon in Florida, but she doesn't go commando. She wears a swimsuit underneath all the
Why?
time.
Oh, just in case.
Exactly, because she said you never know because you never know when you want to go for a swim. Yeah.
Huh.
She said bathing
I thought you
suits.
meant like in case the little pee drips out.
Well, you could do right now, and I've talked about this because I have some expertise in this. The state of like adult or incontinence wear is so similar to regular underwear and or panties or pantaloons that you would scarcely know the difference.
I was at the pharmacy last week, 2 weeks ago. I had to get a wrist brace, but for some reason the wrist brace is right near like the Depends and everything.
Did you try on a few?
No, but I'm looking at the people that are
brace.
modeling these Depends. And I'm like, yeah, look, Ma, I got my first like modeling gig, and it's this dude just sitting in
I tell you
adult
what.
underpants.
So when I had the surgery, I wore them for a little while, just in case. And man, I thought they were awesome.
Kaysen is a model. You'll take whatever you
I
can
know.
get.
Yeah.
But I wear a bathing suit quite a bit as well, but I wear it to work out and not just because I might have to take a dip.
I do that in the summertime because I do like to swim after a workout.
Yeah.
But that's different for you guys.
Well,
like,
let me
like
back
the bathing
up here.
suits are a little thicker for
I don't
women.
know if she's saying this. This is the article saying that it might be because she wants
Could be a
to
load
take
of
a swim.
crap.
She said, bathing suits are my underwear. I don't wear any of that structured stuff. No tight lace, no skims for Martha. However, she was careful to profess her admiration for Kim Kardashian Shapewear Company, saying, but I love skims. I think that they serve a very good purpose, but I don't wear those. I only wear airy bathing suits under my clothes.
So she might be using it more as shapewear.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm wearing airy pants today, in case you guys are wondering.
Are you? I thought you looked a little trimmer and
Did you
slimmer.
think?
Yes. Wow.
Did they help with your libo?
Yeah. A little help in the Lebo department. Let's see here. In a captivating revelation on Paramount Plus's The Family Stallone Season 2 premiered just a few days ago, Sylvester Stallone, accompanied by his wife Jennifer Flavin Stallone, announced their departure from California to embrace the allure of Florida. They're going to move to Florida.
This cracked me up.
Yeah.
Because the daughters are like, what? What? Those daughters are like 27 and 28. It's like, will you stay?
Yeah.
Well, no,
You're
but-
adults.
Yeah, I know, but they love their parents' house in California. So when your parents sell the house
They're
that
selling the
you
house.
grew up in,
Right, yeah.
it's like, it's a bummer. So the
They're bringing the
decision
statue.
disclosed amidst a family dinner with daughters Scarlett, Sistine, and Sophia.
My daughters?
Makes a significant transition for the family and symbolizes both an end and a new beginning. Sophia and Sistine, who are 27 and 25, have set roots in New York City, while the youngest, Scarlett, is 21, and she is pursuing her education at the University of Miami. So part of the reason why they want to move.
That's her professor.
So Sylvester, originally resistant to leaving the deep-seated connections in California, yielded to Jennifer's desire for a new adventure. So they are
time for a family conversation.
they're going to move it up.
Daughters.
And
That's right, it stinks!
so yeah, I guess it's they're gonna they've been in California for a really long time,
Well-
maybe in this house for a really long time.
Yeah, and then these shows tend to run like a year, when they finally premiere, it's already been in place for a while, so they're down now in Florida. He lived in Florida for a long time.
I'm going to get to this story. I've been sitting on this for a little bit because there's been some other things pop up. I'm mainly doing this for Casey because I know that, when our kids were into the Nickelodeon shows and all that, when they were of that age, or Disney Channel, there was a show that Casey really liked. And one of the actresses on that show, I found an interesting thing about her, Bridget Mendler, who was on Good Luck Charlie. She played the main character, that young, really attractive.
Not the mom.
I know you thought the mom was hot, but the girl.
Yeah.
Do you know how smart she is?
I'm going to say very smart.
So she was not only on Good Luck Charlie and Wizards of Waverly Place and The Click, she has spent the past several years studying at MIT and Harvard Law School.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy, right?
MIT wasn't enough for her. She had Harvard Law.
Yeah.
All right.
So by way of her self-described engineering, and by the way, she's stunningly beautiful too. By the way of her self-described engineering household and time at the FCC's new Space Bureau, where she completely fell in love with space law. She is launching a new career in the space industry as CEO of startup called Northwood Space. The vision is a data highway between Earth and space. The actual exercise of sending data to and from space is difficult. You have difficulty finding an access point for contacting your satellite, she said. Rather than build rockets or satellites, Northwood aims to mass-produce ground stations, also known as teleports. Ground stations are the typically large and often circular antennas that connect to satellites in space.
Man, I was going to do this. And then I forgot.
She is, they're already attracting high-profile venture investors with about $6 million in initial funding raised from investors. But I had no idea
She said
that she
smarty
was
pants.
that level of intelligence on her. So she is, and she's the CEO. This is like her idea, this whole thing.
They should make that an accolade in school, smarty pants, when you hit a certain level.
Yeah. So she said the idea for the company originated while she was spending time with family during the pandemic. She said, while everybody else was making their sourdough starters, we were building antennas out of random crap that we could find at Home Depot and receiving data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration satellite.
That's amazing.
She said, for me, why the ground side matters is because it actually is about bringing the impacts of space home to people.
So she was one of these Nickelodeon stars?
Yeah.
And she had a little bit of a singing thing,
She was
right?
a singer as well, yeah. And
wow.
and I remember seeing her on that show, and I'm like, you could tell they were they had really picked a a beautiful, talented person that was going to lead the way, I think, in maybe a franchise. And then she, obviously she's very intelligent, and her aspirations led her to that.
So that's the side career now. This is the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Just like we're doing.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Science.
So, yeah, science, man.
Yeah, science.
Halle Berry and Haley Bailey. Halle Bailey. I'm sorry. Halle Berry and Halle Bailey.
They need to knock this off.
All right, Halle Berry.
They delighted their fans on Monday by sharing photos together at the LA Galaxy game in Los Angeles on Saturday. The Monsters Ball actor hugged the Little Mermaid star in a picture. And Barry wrote, when two Halleys link up, truly adore you, Halle Bailey. And Bailey commented on the post saying, I was living for this moment. Thank you for being so kind to me. You've made my life.
She didn't write Slay Queen?
No, she did not. She wrote, my night was made tonight. I was so nervous with the icon Halle Berry. So
Not even one yes.
they finally got to spend time together. On Monday's episode of Armchair Experts podcast, Bradley Cooper and Dax Shepard, they got together, and Bradley said that he is obsessed with reality television.
Oh, man.
The Maestro actor listed Love is Blind, Love on the Spectrum, and The Golden Bachelor as some of his favorites. He said, it entered my life, and I was like, oh, this is the most incredible reflection of human behavior and social dynamics, he said. So he's like legitimately into it.
Have the Hadids been part of a reality show?
Don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
For some reason, I thought there might have been a Hadid. Obviously, he is with, which Hadid is he with?
I don't
Bella?
know.
Bella Hadid. So, and he is
I
new
don't
home.
know.
Yeah. Well, whoever's out in,
Bucks County.
Bucks County.
Yep.
That's where his new home is. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I didn't realize that he'd be a big fan of the reality shows. And you'd think we'd know since we're such dear friends.
There's one, and I have not watched it yet, and Rochelle watches all these, but there's one that has kind of intrigued me, and it's the really hot people that only speak one language.
Oh, and they have to communicate.
And they have to communicate
Yes.
without being able to
Oh my God.
use language with each other.
So,
it
and you-
looks like it might be kind of interesting. I haven't watched it yet.
So I watch on Netflix. There's basically like a Love Island, but it's a Japanese cast, so it's out of Japan, and it's bizarrely interesting. But yes, these conceits, like the one where you don't see each other, right? Rochelle's into that one.
Yeah, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Yep.
And what is the name of this one? Do you remember?
No, he's talking about several different ones.
No, the one that you talked about. Where
No,
they,
I don't remember the title of it.
Love Language. That's it.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I did see this pop up a bunch. Steve, Yolanda was from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
There we go.
mom.
Okay. Yolanda.
The mom.
I know Yolanda.
Yeah, from the Real House of. All right, so that was the reality.
There we go. That's the connection. I knew there was something.
I know Yolanda.
All right, a couple other quick things, then we got to move along. Kevin Costner released the first official trailer for his new Western film, a series titled Horizon. The Yellowstone actor not only co-wrote, directed, and stars in the project, but he also financed it himself.
Wow. He's also doing a new reality game show called So You Think You Can Dance with Wolves. And it's going to be really cool.
He said, when no one wanted to make the first one, I got the bright idea to make 4. He said, it grew, and suddenly I realized that I just had to make it, and I had to look to myself financially to do it, which is not the smartest thing. But he said, but I count on the movie speaking louder than anything I can say. His first film is set to reach theaters June 28th.
So he's in one of the great, well, Silverado's one of the absolute great Westerns of all time.
I love it.
He is in Wyatt Earp, which is a great Western, but it is not of the two. Tombstone wins in that battle, I think. So, But yeah, he definitely knows this.
Yeah, he knows his
turf.
way around the
Yeah,
genre for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. All right, and then one last thing. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Barbie fans can look forward to Ryan Gosling performing I'm Just Ken at the Oscars
Really?
next month. Yeah, he's going to do it.
Okay, so he is talented. He can sing. He was in a band like right when he's one of those like those Disney
One of
kids.
those Disney kids,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse Club, and then he was in a band. I think his band was called like Dead Man's Bones, and it was a weird sounding, like I almost think like Monster Mash, like that.
Oh,
type
really?
of
Like
thing.
a
Yes.
novelty song?
Yeah, but not novelty.
Come on. Who's it?
and
Pickett.
then-
What was that guy's name?
I don't remember.
Boris Pickett.
Yeah, Boris Pickett. Yeah.
By the way, after she breaks up with Josh Groban, Emma Stone ends up going out with Ryan Gosling in Crazy Stupid Love.
It's true, yes. Hold it.
All right, I got
One more
you.
time. One more time. There you go.
It's a good movie.
It's a joint thing when we
Absolutely.
do that. It takes multiple people
6
to
degrees of Emma Stone.
make that happen. So finally, so the song made it to number 87 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart just weeks after the film premiered. He later released an EP featuring 3 new versions of the song. So he's going to sing it. Now, whether or not he wears that outfit or not.
I think they usually do not.
Yes.
But and they are starting the Academy Awards broadcast 1 hour earlier this year.
good.
It'll start at 7.
Yay.
Which is a smart move because people listen.
Yeah.
They're fighting an uphill battle with the broadcast to begin with. But if you start it earlier, it might work to their favor.
Hey, you know who else is actually a really good singer, and I would love to hear more of him? Is
You.
me?
You're a good singer, man.
You raise me up. No, Twilight guy, the Batman.
Rob Pattinson?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've heard.
Heard tell?
No. I've actually heard him singing, but he just. I guess maybe it's just not his passion.
Did he
so-
ever sing with Faka? FKA Twigs? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that
I had no
question.
idea he was a musician as well,
Yeah.
or a singer.
Didn't know either. All right, let's do the clips here, gang. Will Trent is based on a series of novels that follows a special agent in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And in this clip, Ramon Rodriguez talks about this season's new love interest.
He's not looking to find love. He's doing his job. He's serving what he feels is his purpose. And he comes across this character, Cricket. I feel like she presents in a really nice way a potential of hope, of something that might be good for him and healthy and beautiful. That's unexpected for him.
Shut up, dummy.
A new episode of Will Trent airs tonight on ABC.
He's one of those characters that is not immediately likable, but then you supposedly go to like him.
Here's our next clip. In Dune Part 2, Paul Atreides continues his journey, united with Chani and the Fremen, while on a warpath of revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family. And here Zendaya talks about joining the Dune universe.
I did feel pressure because you want to do justice to something that means so much to so many people, and you want to do a good job. Plus, you're amongst the most incredible, talented people. Every position behind the camera and in front, you feel so incredibly honored to be amongst these people, and you want to do your best.
Dune Part 2 opens on Friday.
Yay.
Very much looking forward to that. We'll get to see a lot more Zendaya in this one.
Now, the recommendation is you see it in IMAX. Apparently, it is a massive scope.
Cool.
Is it playing? Is it streaming anywhere? Or is it only in theaters?
Only in theaters.
Because the first one was a streamer,
But that
right?
it was
Shortly
during-
after the theatrical
It was
release, it
delayed,
came out.
yeah, because
Okay.
of the pandemic. So they did that, but I don't think that's the route for this one.
This will be one of my go to the movie theaters movies
Yeah.
for sure. All right. And that is all I have in the entertainment report. Let us take a break. We got a lot going on today. Tattoo Tuesday, a chance to win a Preston Steve themed tattoo from Floating World Tattoo and Piercing on South Street. So text the word tattoo to 39333 right now. We're also going to have actor Tim Blake Nelson on the show. His son will be joining us for that interview as well. Henry Nelson. They have a movie called Asleep in My Palm, which is coming out on the 12th. And Mira Sorvino is going to be checking in with us as well, because there is a Romy and Michelle high school reunion screening that's happening at the Keswick Theater on Sundays. We'll talk to all of those peeps at some point during the program. We'll be right back, so stay with us, please.
WMMR.
If you were listening to the commercials, we do live commercials on the air here, and so we have to turn on the microphones and then present our copy. And so while we were off air, Steve, you were out of the studio, but me and Nick and Casey were trying to think of the name of an actor, and nobody could think of it. And we were like, this is it. And I'm like, Nick, you got 10 seconds. Nick, you got 5 seconds. And Nick's going, hey, here's the name of the guy. It was blah, 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 blah. And then I turn the microphones on here. So the music starts for him to do his live commercial. I turn on the microphone, and the first thing people hear is Benicio del Toro.
Well, Casey yelled it. So Casey got it first. Steve, we were trying to figure out his role from Last Jedi in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
None of us could think of it. And then like moments before we go
That's
there.
hilarious.
And then he does the whole live commercial without explaining whatsoever why he decided to yell the name Benicio del Toro.
Right.
Well, maybe that's the new catchphrase or the tag for the advertiser.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like a greeting, doesn't it?
Yeah, Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
No, and a
That's
piece of
their-
Masato to you.
Yes.
Antonio Margarete.
All right. Well, listen, there's something we were thinking about chatting about. We had a call earlier this morning. I believe the listener's name was Mark, and we were talking about this escaped convict. Yes, another one in the general Philadelphia area of another guy that got away from either prison or the police custody that he was in, and this guy ran out of a cop car. They were taking him to the hospital to get him checked out.
Yeah.
And he had handcuffs behind his back. He runs out and takes off, and they still haven't found him, right?
No.
Yeah.
And the dude ran with his hands handcuffed behind him at a full clip.
And we got an eyewitness recounting of that from listener Mark, who had called in earlier, which is always fascinating to hear about when you see something like that happen. And Nick has something to share here in a second. But what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was going to say they took him into custody. It was like a car theft, something like that on Sunday. And then apparently if you say you don't feel well, they have to take him. It's protocol. So they took him to the hospital to be checked out. That's why he was there. They checked him out. They discharged him, and then he jetted.
And then he
took off.
bolted,
He
yeah.
bolted.
And they pursued him, but he got away.
Yeah. And so apparently Nick had something occur.
Yeah, it was in
your backyard.
In our backyard, in our neighborhood, and we didn't know about it until the next day because the action, as it were, was caught on our cameras outside, the ring cameras and stuff. And apparently, and I found this out later, there was a car theft, and the three convicts or whatever, juvenile delinquents, they ended up in our neighborhood trying to evade police. So there was this whole manhunt, and it ended up being a woman hunt. It was three teenage women who stole a car. They ended up running through people's backyards, including my own over the weekend. Yeah. And,
and the cops in hot pursuit.
And Steve, and so when you watch the footage, because we have cameras in the back of the house and in the front of the house, excuse me, you can see the cop cars going up and down the street. You can see officers running up and down the street. And then you can see the three women right through our backyard. And then about 5 minutes later, some officers running after them. And then so what we found out later was they were all apprehended. They had stolen a car out of Philly. They brought it into our neighborhood, and they were trying to evade police.
Wow.
And so you later checked the cameras, obviously. But yeah.
And I have some friends in the police department in our area, so I reached out to one of them yesterday. And I was like, what the hell was going on in our neighborhood over the weekend? And he explained the whole story to me.
That was interesting because I'm sure that there have been many times where people wake up the next day and find out that right outside of their house or, within very close ranges, some kind of big thing like that happened.
Of course. And now the difference is that vis-a-vis the Ring camera, but whatever kind of cameras you have around the house, you're gonna catch it, and it can be a wild revelation.
So I thought it might be kind of fun to explore that a little bit. If you have something that you woke up the next morning, you're like, oh my God, this happened. 215-263-WMMR.
I slept through the whole thing. I didn't hear any of it. And Andrea said that she saw it, the lights woke her up in the middle of the night, so she ended up exploring it and just looking out the window or whatever. But he couldn't really see anything. It was, I think, 3 or 4 in the morning when it happened.
Right.
There was a police chase that came by my house probably, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago. And it woke me up in the middle of the night and I could hear the car speeding. So I live in a place where if people are speeding and they're not stopping at stop signs, I can tell. I've lived there for so long, so
right.
I
you know how it sounds.
I know how it sounds, and I heard the car, it woke me up, and I was like, "That's pretty fast." And then I heard a second car, and then I saw lights, and I heard a third car. So their sirens weren't on, but their lights were on.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was the guy speeding, and then 3 or 4 cop cars afterwards, and you could just hear them it was.
Wow. And then you reach under your pillow.
Yeah.
Time to roll.
Yeah.
And I looked on my cameras as well the next morning, and sure enough, that's
caught
what
it
was.
all?
No
Yeah,
kidding.
you could see you saw the car run the stop sign, and then you saw all the cop cars come behind them.
That's pretty cool.
Wow. My buddy from my childhood, he lives in Norwood, and there was a police chase that ended up in Norwood, and I guess it's down off of Ashland Avenue, but there is when you get into his neighborhood, it's a giant circle, but you don't know that it's a circle. And so these people were evading police and had no idea where they were going. And they just were driving
in circles.
in a circle.
Wow.
I want to say they were driving in a circle for a half an hour.
Look,
trying
kids.
to Big Ben, Parliament.
Look, kids.
All right, let me go to Jenna. Hey, Jenna, good morning.
Gadzooks, guys.
Gadzooks. Jenna, what's up?
So about a year ago, I was living in Philadelphia, and I got woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning from my upstairs neighbor coming in. It's really loud. The next morning, I go outside, and there's 5 cop cars lined up in front of my house. I didn't think anything of it. It's Philadelphia, whatever. Come back home, and apparently the guy living above me was going around murdering homeless people.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh my God.
And so you remember him coming in and making a racket the night before?
The night before, and it was normal for him too. He was coming home all hours of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I guess somebody called in. One of the homeless people had a cell phone that he tried to attack, and he got caught on the Ring camera of my neighbor's house coming in, and they came in and questioned him, and they found some weird stuff in his apartment, and they ended up arresting him.
Jenna, how many homeless people had he killed?
4.
4?
I know of.
Wow, that you know of.
All right, how long ago was this, Jenna?
This was March of last year.
Oh, my God.
Holy hell.
That's potential serial killer
yes,
killing 4 people.
It is, yeah.
It was crazy, and I didn't find anything out until 2 weeks later. My neighbor came up to me, and she was like, "Are you guys feeling safer now?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, my God.
Oh my
Going around
gosh.
killing people.
Jeez.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I had no idea."
Did you ever encounter this guy at all?
When they moved in, he never really talked or anything. He was very quiet, but he would dress like the Undertaker from WWE with the.
Couldn't be any more perfect.
my God.
But he had a hell of a banana bread recipe. Wow, that is right out of a classic horror movie. The guy dresses like the Undertaker, and lo and behold, he's actually killing people.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and it was my neighbor. Her nephew was actually one of the victims. So
Oh man, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you move out of Philadelphia after that, Jenna?
No, I moved closer to Fishtown area. So I got out of the area I was living in, which was more of Temple area. So
You moved in with your uncle Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jenna. That's pretty wild, man. Oh,
Jesus.
my God.
That's out of a script.
Yeah. Let me go to Catherine. Hi there, Catherine. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up?
So I moved into a house, and not long after I moved in, I woke up to a big boulder rock in my living room floor, and my glass door all shattered.
A boulder?
A boulder rock, like a giant rock.
Yeah, boulder,
Like the size of what?
It was probably about a 15-pound rock. It was huge.
Oh, okay.
15's
15
not that
pound?
big.
That's not very big.
Yeah. It's like a
And I don't know. I have a dog, and I'm surprised me or the dog ever heard it, but I think because it was tempered glass, it all might have sounded like rain, and I guess we, didn't hear it. So anyway, I looked to see if I could figure out who did it in my neighborhood, and nobody knew anything. So I installed cameras, and about a year later, I woke up to another rock. It didn't come through the door, but it broke the glass and made a whole mess. So I looked at the camera, and sure enough, it was a neighbor at 3 o'clock in the morning. You could just watch him walking up to my door, throwing the rock, and running away.
So this neighbor had done it both times?
Yeah, it was the same guy both times. Like the first time I asked the neighbor if he knew anything, and he said no, and I know his son, he's an older guy. And he said, no, it wasn't my son. He was in the house. So when it happened again, I went right to him and I said, well, you were wrong. It was your son. So I sent the live camera footage to the police. And
what ended up happening?
well, the father begged me not to press charges and that he would repair all the damage. And I'm a softie, so I let it go and let him repair the damage, and that's how we left it.
He just likes boulders.
Yeah.
He's
just a
rock
boulder
guy.
boy.
Yeah.
He's just one of those boulder boys.
How long ago was this, Catherine?
This was probably about 2 years ago.
Any incidents since that?
No, I had moved since then, but I did not have any.
He has to mail the boulders now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But apparently he did a lot of damage in the neighborhood. Like I had neighbors come forward saying he took a baseball bat to somebody's Ford F-150 and just smashed everything.
Yeah, it's like that dude, Kathy. There was just in the news with the stained glass.
Oh, yeah.
Going to a couple of different locations.
All right,
Churches.
thank you, Catherine.
He was another boulder boy.
The most exciting thing in my neighborhood was people would go around and throw cheese on other people's cars.
Hey, it can F if you
what?
paint, can it, right?
I don't know.
What was that? I forget.
Just kids. They were
There's cheese.
they were cheesing the cars.
Right.
Although, actually, no, a neighbor that lived kind of catty corner to us one time, and there was a big deal. Like the FBI was there, and the ATF and all these.
What was this story?
He was somehow or another hooked into organized crime.
Was this the effed up house that was in disarray?
No, different one. That
Okay.
was just a weird neighbor, but this was a criminal neighbor apparently.
Wow.
And I wasn't there when it happened, but I was told about all the cars, that were down the street, and then they came in and guns a-blazing and everything. But that was before Ring cameras and everything were around.
Do you have cameras in the backyard?
No. Or actually, we do.
Because you would catch, I assume you would catch where you are, a lot of wildlife going through your yard.
Yeah, I never really look at that stuff. Rochelle takes a peek at that.
I catch foxes in our backyard.
I could see that
all the time, and they're adorable. But I'm like,
Weren't they swimming in your pool this summer?
no. Well, no, rabbits.
Oh, rabbits. Oh.
And poor little guy.
Rabbits go for swims?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So the rabbits in the.
Do they fall in?
Here's a little side story. Yes, and I scooped them out, and I said,
Truck 'em.
"Buddy, be careful."
Yeah.
Scooped it out,
Buddy.
and then the son of a bitch got back in and drowned. And now I have a little burial thing and a little bunny over as a little grave marker.
I know what it was. The fox was playing with Kizzy's toys.
They were playing with my dog's toys. Yes.
Let me go to Karen next. Hi, Karen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, Karen?
Hi. So my thing was, my daughter, who's now 22, she was an infant. It was the middle of the night, and the phone rings, and this guy says, "Is this Karen?" And I said, "Yes." And he said my whole name. He says, "We have your house surrounded. We need you to evacuate." I'm like, what?
Okay.
So
Wow.
I open the door. It's pitch dark. This is before Ring. It's pitch dark. I don't see a thing, I swear. So I slammed the door thinking it was a friend of my ex-husband's. I thought he was playing a joke. So I threw the phone. I went back to bed. I said, "I think it's Emmett on the phone." So my husband comes in. He goes, "No, we have to evacuate." So I have to pick up my infant in February in the cold and go out to the car, and there are police officers all around my porch with guns. One is over the hood of my car, and I'm screaming at him to get away from my car because I'm going in there.
Wow.
And next thing you know I find out that they all have to go through my house to get upstairs because the guy called his mom, who lived in Florida, and said he was drunk. I want to kill myself. Hung up, passed out, and she called the police thinking he was really going to kill himself.
So how did they end up in your house?
Well, the only way to get to that house was through my apartment. I don't know. The gate was locked, and they couldn't get in, so they had to go through my place and go upstairs.
That's
You live in like a
weird.
duplex or something, or?
Yeah, I was on the first floor, and the guy lived upstairs.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This is where they could have used the Boulder Kid to get into.
Yeah.
Call in the Boulder Kid. We got a special job.
We need to breach a house and
Anyone have a 15-pound boulder rock?
What do you got? I'm looking at a couple of 20s. Will that do it?
I got a 15-pound boulder rock over
It's been
here.
a busy season. I got a 10. I could do a 10 and a 5.
Wow. Karen, what ended up happening with the guy?
Well, they ended up talking to him, and here he was, like, I guess, sober enough, and he said, no, I'm not going to kill myself or this or that, and I guess nothing else happened because I went back to bed.
Yeah, that's weird that they would wake up and there would be nobody like at the door or like in pitch black darkness. I would be leery to step out of my house if someone called and said evacuate.
Yes.
I know, because that's what I did. I cracked the door open, and I didn't see anybody. So I thought, well, this has got to be a joke.
Is this a Boulder boy?
And then when my husband says, no, this is no joke, we have to leave.
Yeah, no, it obviously was serious, but that's wild.
Yeah, and
Weird
especially
story.
you get a call like that in this day and age of things like swatting and all these kinds of weird little, somebody calls you and says they're in the cop and they're really not. And it's
You
like,
want proof.
What do you take seriously?
Right.
You know? Yeah, it's weird. All right, thank you, Karen. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks
if you're a
for-
cop, complete this show title, Law and...
Yeah, let me go to Zane next. Hi, Zane. Morning.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, what's up, my man?
Just wanted to tell you guys about I've had our family's camera system help catch not one but 2 murders.
2 murderers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Do tell.
So the first one was for a homeless guy who's in another area. Everybody knew him. Like, he was very recognizable, had like his own things going on that, you knew who he was. Well, one day we went to bed, we woke up, and there's crime tape where he used to stay. We hear it through the people talking, like neighbors and whatnot, that he was stabbed in the middle of the night in his tent where he stayed. So we go check the cameras. You can see someone walk down the street, acted like nothing was wrong. Then about 30 minutes later, he's walking with his hood up, his hands in his pocket, and you can see something. So that was one of them.
And so I assume the police secured your footage?
Yes.
All right, and then the second one.
The second one was actually my neighbor's daughter, which also went to the police.
Your neighbor's daughter was murdered and caught on your
No.
security.
She was the murderer.
She was the murderer.
Yeah, so she was a little not there, but
a little off, yeah.
Was she into boulders?
So her boyfriend at the time, she had done some crazy things like keep his dog at her house after arguments and whatnot. But at one point, he went to break up with her, and they were in a car together. Well, she apparently didn't take that too lightly and shot him.
Whoa.
And threw the gun and her bloody jacket over a bridge and walked home.
So and is this and this is caught, her coming home is caught on your camera?
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
And did you guys have to testify at all, or did you just submit the?
They did not testify, but they did subpoena us for the footage, so
Sure.
we had to submit it so that they would.
Wow. What ended up happening with her? Was she convicted?
Yes, both of them were.
Wow.
Crazy.
Dude.
Where do you live?
Daughter has been convicted.
Are you waiting on a third one now?
I would hope not.
Dude,
My daughters.
Two's enough.
Yeah, you should actually sell
Thanks, Zane.
access to your security camera just for entertainment purposes.
By the
God
way,
almighty.
You know our I just got out of the shower guy.
Yeah.
He was telling the story about, remember the police came into the house.
Yeah.
That was a story about, I started off with my dad. You remember that? There was this police chase that ended up in my parents' house. This was back when they were living in Paoli.
That's right.
And so the whole kickoff for that story, when that guy
All I
called
did
in,
was get out of the shower.
was that the cops ended up in my parents' house looking for this perp or whatever, and my dad was like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
right.
And this was probably 10, 15 years ago at this point.
Do you have the second one? I just got out of the shower.
I just got out of the shower.
Shower. I love
All I
that.
did was get out of the shower. I just got out of the shower.
That guy's a grandfather now.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
That's just how long ago it was.
It's like 50 years ago.
Here's a text that says about 12 years ago when I lived in Norristown with my husband, there was a shooting/murder outside of my bedroom windows. Wow. We were home, but since we had lived in the basement level apartment, we never heard anything going on. We only knew because the cops banged on our door because the gun that was used was found under my husband's car.
Oh, my gosh.
That's from Samantha in Red Hill, which leads me to wonder, occasionally, if there's a shooting, guns are freaking loud, gang.
Yes, yeah.
But from time to time, you may not hear it for whatever reason that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
like
even
them, like those guys.
Yeah, and it's weird because I was at King Shooters and they were demonstrating some suppressors.
Yeah, even though they're still loud.
You'll hear a suppressor.
Oh, they're really loud.
Now, in a cacophonous city environment, perhaps you might not catch it. But you're right, Preston, and it's and it's weird that people can. Well, probably it's a bad statement about the world we're living in, where people now can sleep through some of that. But yeah, you would hear it. You would think.
Yeah. And in the movie version of suppressors, no.
Yeah.
That thing?
Yeah.
Well, that is not it at all.
Do they use potatoes as? I mean,
They
see
have.
that- okay.
And you think of, I always think of the scene in Godfather 2. He wraps up the towel and on an older caliber. It still makes a sound, and then he breaks the gun apart and hides it.
Let me see here. So many calls up here. Let me go to Joe next. Hi, Joe. Morning.
Hey, Gadzooks.
Gadzooks, buddy. What's going on?
All right, so years ago, I was at my girlfriend's house at the time. She had went to work. Everybody in the house went to work except for her brother. So I'm laying there. I'm watching TV. It's early in the morning. I'm eating a bowl of cereal and stuff. And all of a sudden, the cops bust through the bedroom door. I jump up, and I'm thinking, what the hell? And then, so apparently this guy was in a cop chase, or the cops were chasing him. He crashed his car into one of the neighbors' cars and then started running trying to open doors and run into a house and try to hide.
Yeah.
And he ran up to this, her door. So her brother didn't know I was even there. So he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. They let the cops in. So then the cops are in there and they're asking me, I'm like, dude, I have no clue what's going on. And then all of a sudden I hear yelling and screaming and go and look out the window in the backyard. The dude's being, thrown down on the ground. And
Wow.
I'll run out the house and grab him. I'm sitting there. I'm still eating my bowl of cereal. This is like,
It's like entertainment, but they burst through your door in pursuit of him?
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and her brother was just like, yeah, go ahead through. Let the cops through, and didn't know I was there.
All right, we need to take a statement now. Green clovers, yellow stars, what else?
Right.
But yeah, and then, I heard the dude screaming and the cops tackling him in the backyard. I was watching the whole thing.
Man.
But yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
It
All right,
is
thanks, man.
simultaneously terrifying, Nick, and seeing the footage, it is in a bizarre way because we're all, I think, innately voyeurs at a certain level. It's like, wow.
Well, you forget that it's your house.
Yeah.
You're like, but it's like that
Yeah.
Seinfeld bit where you're right in the back of the cab. You're
Oh,
like,
that looked
that
dangerous.
looks scary. And you're like, this is terrifying. But yes, it was in our freaking backyard.
Right.
See, when the guy said he was eating cereal, I automatically imagined it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You and Lucky Charms. Did you guys have any thoughts as to which kind of cereal he was eating?
I figured I could have a couple items for him to describe in the testimony. But yeah,
Were you guys thinking
No,
of it?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though.
What kind of cereal he was eating. No.
You picked a good cereal, though. It's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Here's a text that says, do you guys remember the helicopter that crashed in Drexel Hill?
Yeah,
Of course
yeah.
we did. We gave 50 points to Delaware County
Yeah,
for that.
pilot wasn't even from Delaware.
No, but the people who saved the day were.
He said, I had,
Casey.
this texter says, I had footage of that on my camera in my backyard
Wow.
that the police came and took.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, now that's during the day, so obviously you're aware of it. It's still amazing, but yeah, there's very little in a suburban area or a city area that is not caught on some camera somewhere.
Yeah, there was also a small plane crash out in Bucks County. I think it was Percy, and it crashed in a neighborhood like right at the corner. And a friend of mine lives in that neighborhood, and it wasn't on her camera, but it was on her neighbor's camera. And she said it was really scary.
Wow. All right, let me get another call. We're going to have to take a break here in just a second. I'll go to Anna. Hi, Anna.
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. Benicio do you too.
And now it's a thing.
What's up, Anna?
Hey, so I live down in Delaware, and this was in the news, so it's pretty big. You can search it. There was a shooting that happened at the Veterans Memorial Cemetery. So a gentleman had walked up to a couple who was there visiting their son's grave and had shot them both, and they both passed, and the guy ended up running back into the woods. Well, the woods is in between the cemetery and my neighborhood, so I had no idea what was going on. I'm out walking. I see like cop cars kind of go up and down. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm walking my dog, and I'm seeing more and more. And one of them stops, and he's like, ma'am, you need to go back home. You need to get inside and shut your doors. So I'm like, oh, my God. So I go inside, texting everybody in the neighborhood and everything. Turns out that the gentleman that was there started shooting at the cops that were along the freeway there next to the cemetery. And they were shooting back and forth, basically. And then the helicopter that was overhead couldn't be low enough because then the gentleman was shooting at the helicopter.
Whoa.
So all of this is going on, and I'm inside, and I can hear it all happening. I can see the helicopters through my front window, and I can hear just all this shooting going on. So we were, my neighborhood was locked down for a few hours. We couldn't go anywhere because they couldn't find the guy, and he ended up taking his own life in the end. But it was just absolutely insane just having that be, obviously.
I mean, you had basically, you had an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie taking place on. So at the beginning, I'm sorry, this one guy came out of nowhere and shot two people mourning at a gravesite?
Correct. So apparently he was like living in the woods there, like in a tent. And there was a couple that were at that cemetery, and he just walked up to them and just shot them both in the head.
Just
and then
randomly.
ran back into the woods randomly.
Wow.
A few years ago here, Delaware Veterans Memorial, the cemetery here.
Wow.
And he ran back into the woods. And so it was the full on, lockdown of my neighborhood and just. And pretty much, and they couldn't locate him. But then he's, next thing you know, he's shooting up at the helicopter. He's shooting at the cop cars
along
896, and I could just hear it all from my window. So it was,
scary.
it was intense.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
But I
All
think
right.
also,
and I live in a nice little suburban neighborhood. So that's fun.
just pour yourself a bowl of cereal and watch all the activity.
Thanks, Anna.
Exactly.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good day, guys.
Well, sometimes it happens live in front of your eyes, and other times you had no idea it happened.
Sound asleep.
Yeah. Nick had a full-on foot chase, like you'd see in a movie, going through his backyard.
You're a sound sleeper, yes?
No, I'm not actually. And so, but I don't know. I think maybe just because it was like 3 or 4 in the morning when it happened, Steve. But
I would like to see, Nick, a shootout where you're in bed and the cop is on one side of the bed and the guy's reaching over and.
We were sleeping in separate bedrooms that night, a Saturday and a Sunday.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I had the fan on and the shades drawn, and for whatever reason, it woke Andrea up and did not wake me up. But it was reassuring to talk to the police yesterday and figure out that they had all been caught, they'd all been apprehended. They just were running all over the neighborhood.
It's so funny, Nick, to think that this is going on in your backyard and you're just there. Just kind of slumbering away.
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, probably.
Well. All right. Well, thank you for the calls, and I apologize to those that we did not. I'd like to apologize to those who were on hold for a long time. Simone.
I'd like to apologize to Jennifer Garner.
That we didn't get to your call. I appreciate it, though. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in a moment. Some bizarre file stories are on the way. Actor Tim Blake Nelson and his son, director Henry Nelson, will be joining us later, as will actress Mira Sorvino. So we got some big people to talk to this morning. We'll be back in a second. Stay with us.
93.3 WMMR.
We are 4 days away, if you count today, from the Cardboard Classic.
Yes, we are.
Montage Mountain. I am starting to get little sneak peeks of some of the sleds, and from what I understand, there's going to be a Duncan sled. Oh my God.
That's what I hear.
This time around, which is pretty cool. I don't think we've had one of those yet.
I'm trying to wait to the actual moment that we are at the base of that run so I can catch everything, and it's slopey glory.
I'm wondering if I think they're going to be like. Isn't it like they're going to be munchkins or something like that?
Well, yeah, and I saw the finished sled. It is a giant munchkins box, and then they're going to be tossing out munchkins to people. It's great. It is awesome.
Yep. So always inventive and interesting creations at this event, and you're invited to join us.
I wonder if there has been anyone involved with the Cardboard Classic at this level who's gone on to do things like scenery building for Broadway. Because their level of craftsmanship is mind-blowing.
I agreed. But I mean, we've usually, the people that are doing these big ones are like, they're not like young people who are just upstarts. They've been, settled in their careers and so on. But yeah, I think we should motivate the young people to
get out there,
create these things as well. Maybe you have a talent for this type of thing. So it's on Friday.
You want fame? Fame costs.
That's on Friday. We're heading up Thursday evening to get ready for the whole thing.
By the way, Thursday, so it's warm this week. Thursday, it drops down.
40.
No, but at night. So I think it's colder, like 28 degrees. So hopefully they'll be able to make snow.
Yep.
And even though it's going to be a little warmer on Friday, like it'll be comfortable, but there'll still be snow on the
Totally.
Yeah. It's going to be perfect.
Could be the best of all
And as
worlds.
Preston pointed out, they already have a very solid base ready. They've been rocking it for a while.
Yep. So don't forget, we have Best Tito's handmade vodka sled as well, fastest sled, best design, and our favorite fail as well, which we're going to give away tickets for the entire team for the MMRBQ.
Nice.
That hasn't been announced yet, but we'll have it, and we'll have tickets for you. And speaking of concerts, Collective Soul, 5 p.m. on Friday, playing, so you won't have long to wait if you're headed out, but you will need a lift ticket to go to the concert.
Yes.
Or you can purchase tickets, entry into that. And then more shows throughout the weekend. Saturday, the 502s and OAR are headlining. And there's so much going on.
It's a great weekend. They really do so much. And what a quantum leap forward in Cardboard Classic technology.
I've heard from a lot of newbies. People who've never been before. People are like from the Northeast Pennsylvania area, from NEPA. And people just never checked out Cardboard Classic because it went away for a few years. We weren't able to do it for a stretch. And last year was our first year back, and obviously our first year at Montage.
By the way, it's an all-day live broadcast, too. Us and Pierre, and then Brent Porsche is going to be doing a show. Jackie will be there, but there's a Flyers game, so that's how he can come and join us. He doesn't have to do a show that
Get him
night.
to work the crowd.
So, yeah, this is all...
And the Snow Queen will be there.
It's all coming together. Kathy Romano.
I wish I had like a all-white outfit to wear. I had... growing up, I still remember it, and I hated getting rid of it. I had like a whitish silver one-piece snowsuit that I would wear when I would go
that'd
skiing.
be perfect, yeah.
Well, and when the one pieces went out, somebody made fun of me one time on the slopes, and I was like, I got to get rid of this, and I got to get a jacket and pants now. And I was so upset because now they're back and everyone's wearing them. Like, damn it, I should have kept it.
Speaking of which, we have a special outfit we're all going to be wearing on Friday. It's a matching set, so we're looking forward to showing that to you. All right, before we do the B-file, real quick, a shout-out. This is from Emily Lazach. She said, Preston, I'd love to get a shout-out to my amazing husband, Matt Kroll. His 43rd birthday is on the 26th. He's a dedicated fan, listens to your show every day. He's the hardest working man out there, but also a very loving and devoted husband and the best dog dad to our pit mixes, Summer and Harvey. Thanks to you guys and what you do. He's got a very stressful job. Your podcast lets him unwind, relax, and laugh at the end of a tough day. So here's a shout out. Happy birthday to you, and let's do the B-file.
WMMR presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you by Natural Lawn of America. Natural Lawn has been creating green lawns quickly, more naturally, and with fewer weeds since 1987. Get free seeding every year. Call 800-FREE-SEED now. Let's see. Well, so I don't know why, but I love this story.
All right.
Hotel guest and actress Elle McMacklemore claims that her $20 room service meal was none other than a $3.79 bag of Trader Joe's spaghetti.
Bag of spaghetti.
Yeah, Macklemore thought the dish tasted familiar when she ate it. The next morning, her husband discovered the hotel's frozen stash of pre-prepared foods in a communal refrigerator. She said he went to look for almond milk for my coffee in the refrigerator next to the buffet, and that's when he made the discovery of all the prepackaged foods. The hotel's menu claimed that their food was, quote, crafted to nourish the body and soul. And
Well, yeah, just not by them.
they're whipping out the Stofers and warming it up in the micro and sending it up to your room. I wonder how often something like that happens.
I'm
Probably
sure
more than you
a
think.
lot, yeah.
Probably, right? Yeah. A Norwegian cruise ship with over 2,000 passengers and 1,000 crew on board has been denied permission to dock in Martitas over fears of a potential cholera outbreak
Oh, boy.
on board. Yeah. At least 15 people on the cruise ship Norwegian Dawn have been isolated, and samples were taken for testing on Sunday. The test results are expected today. People on board the ship developed mild stomach symptoms after visiting South Africa for a couple of days in mid-February. There have been a number of cholera outbreaks in southern African countries over the past few months. Since January of 2023, over 3,000 people in the region have died from cholera and 188,000 have been infected.
Cruises are less for people and more of a chance for diseases to have a vacation.
Cholera is among the deadliest diseases in the world. There are 2,184 passengers on the Norwegian Dawn, along with 1,026 crew members, and they're just sitting there because they got to wait and find out what's up. Speaking of illnesses, a mosquito-borne illness has made its way to the United States and has an embarrassing side effect. Long-lasting, spontaneous erections.
What?
Dengue fever is also associated with fevers, rashes, and internal bleeding.
Yeah, it can be very
Doctors
deadly.
recently noted that a patient suffered from an 18-hour-long episode without any stimulation, meaning that, exactly. Dengue has been reported in Florida,
Some of my
Texas,
favorite clips.
California, West Virginia, New York, North Carolina, Arizona, D.C., and Massachusetts. So watch out.
Got a boner.
It's just perfect.
One more time, in that order, please, if you would.
Bookie's got a boner.
Doesn't take much.
It does.
No.
It really does.
No, we
Yeah.
spent about an hour and a half laughing at the corn song because it had a fart in it.
That's right. All right, an Australian teenager has been suspended from school after dumping milk on a group of women taking a boat ride. The stunt was caught on video and viewed more than 32.6 million times.
Holy hell.
Yeah. This is...
Bookie's got a boner.
Get you off, huh?
The Melbourne Grammar School said, we continue to have the film view that this behavior was completely unacceptable and have treated the matter with the utmost seriousness. By the way, the school costs $20,000 annually for kids to go there. So it's a grade school,
So let me
grammar
ask
school.
you, is this a TikTok thing or a social media thing? Because there's a number of videos floating around. In fact, there's one guy in particular who all he does is set up like balloons filled with milk over doorways or wherever.
I've been following them forever and drops them on his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they do it to each other.
They do it to each
They do
other.
it to each other. Okay.
Pancake showed that to me, and the first couple of videos I watched were really funny.
Yeah.
And after a while, I'm like, they have to be
Fake.
setting these up.
Exactly.
They have to
That's
be
what
setting
I
these
thought.
up. They do.
Maybe in some of them, but if you watch, I just watched one. It was a compilation of all of the times she got him, and the kids in the video. You see their reaction; they have no idea that it's happening. If it is set up.
Yeah.
But some of it is it times out too perfectly. It's like,
perfectly,
okay,
yeah.
they worked on this. It's funny though, especially when they shoot the confetti cannon.
You know what I always constantly think, because they do it inside their house. I'm like,
What a mess.
What?
And the smell.
Ridiculous mess.
endless cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yep. But they're making tons of money off of it. So, all right, anyway.
Enough of that.
So the Victoria Police issued the boy a warning for unlawful assault and said that the matter is now complete. 2 German tourists got more than they bargained for when they put their lives into the hands of Google Maps and blindly followed the service into the depths of the Australian jungle.
Oh, my God.
Philip Mayer and Marcel Schoen wanted to drive from the tropical city of Cairns, Queensland, to the small town of Bamaga. But around the rural town of Cohen, the pair obeyed Google's navigation service and turned off the Peninsula Development Road, the main transport link for the region, onto a dirt track and into the national park.
Oh, man.
He said, this is according to Mayer, he said, we decided, okay, let's follow Google Maps because Google Maps knows maybe more than we know. Such blind faith turned out to be their undoing. 60 kilometers into their bushwhacking adventure, the four-wheel drive got stuck in the mud and they had to continue on foot.
You folks are following Google, aren't you?
Getting lost in the wilderness of Cape York Peninsula is not good news for anyone. The region is vaster than Great Britain altogether and home to just 18,000 people. Once they realized that they were being led up a dry gully. They pulled back and stayed in their vehicles as long as they could before making a decision to walk out. A dry gully is a dry riverbed that can quickly fill with water when it rains. The pair's week-long walk back to Cohen for help.
Wow.
Featured thunderstorms, river crossings, withering heat, and close encounters with Australia's infamously dangerous wildlife. Mayor said, we tried to build a shelter. It didn't work, so we slept under the sky. It was raining the whole time, but it was okay. He added that a crocodile lurked in the last creek they had to cross. He said, we just ran through it because it was our only opportunity. And when they finally made it back to civilization, park rangers were able to recover the vehicle. It was indeed a happier ending for these two, but others have not been so lucky following Google Maps. Philip Paxson was allegedly using the service when it led him over a broken bridge to his death in 2022.
Jesus. I wouldn't be so quick to follow that, a Google Maps when you're in a very rural area.
Yeah, if it starts taking you down like dirt roads,
forget it.
That's when I'm going to have to, change gears.
Pass on, yeah.
And that is all I have in the bizarre file for you at this point in time. Let's take a break. Come back in a moment. Don't forget, a little later on this morning, actor Tim Blake Nelson and his son Henry Nelson, and also actress Mira Sorvino. All of them will be joining us. We'll be back in a little bit. Stay with us.
And that's your traffic on 93.3 WMMR.
Thank you, Kathy. There are a multitude of things that are going on, so therefore I think we must dive in and be the stream of consciousness nerd.
The stream of consciousness nerd.
Randomly pulling a variety of stories to share with you this morning.
From across the universe.
I will start with this one. Maybe you guys saw this. 96-year-old widow, Dr. Ruth Gottsman, received an unexpected inheritance when her husband passed away. Is she from Delco?
No, man. I went to turn off the freaking button.
I thought, wow, this woman's from Delco.
Localing.
It would have been a hell of a story because going to have a hell of a story there, as Frank Rizzo once said. But no, Dr. Ruth Gottsman received an unexpected inheritance.
You're going to have a hell of a story on that one.
Inheritance when her husband passed away, and now she's decided to pay it forward. So her husband left her $1 billion.
Whoa, it's like $1 billion.
In Berkshire Hathaway stock.
Wow.
It's like $1 billion. Jeez.
Gottsman has finally decided what she's going to do with this.
Yes.
And she is funding the tuition of every single student attending Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx.
Oh, that's amazing.
Every single one of them. And
we should probably have some money left over after that.
The donation is so large, it will cover students' educations in perpetuity.
Oh, wow. So going on forever.
Everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they said that it is the largest gift to any medical school in the country.
That's astonishing.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. I mean, and I don't know. Did she keep any of it for herself at all?
She's still working as a stripper, so she has an income.
What'd you say, Kath?
She had to have kept something.
Some,
I mean,
right?
it's $1 billion.
Well, she's 96 though, and I don't know what kind of what their heir situation is if they had kids or not. But that is a hell of a gift to leave behind, man. Wow.
I wonder what that is going to do to not only enrollment, but more so like people just applying to that medical school.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to be a little bit more rigorous. It's from what I understand about the establishment, it has high standards to begin with, but once this is now out in the open, you're going to be a little bit more rigorous.
Yeah. A year's tuition typically costs about $60,000. Many graduates end up with $200,000 in debt.
It's horrifying.
So obviously, this is going to be
a mortgage.
Huge.
Yeah, my buddy did. He's a surgeon now, and he went to Jefferson. But after a little while, he ended up joining the Navy and had them pay for his med school.
Yeah, man.
They gave him a couple of years of service, and but he essentially left without having any student debt.
We were talking about when our former radio station owner at Y100, Dan Lerner, he just passed away this week, and we had mentioned that yesterday. And we had said when he decided to sell the radio station, he gave everyone that worked there a loyalty bonus, is what he called it, and it was a handful of $1,000 per every year that you worked there. And I remember we were all like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
So I can imagine this
for
somebody who's already there. or getting ready to go there, they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You know, it comes out of nowhere. Or somebody who just graduated last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
man.
son of a bitch!
Is this retroactive by any chance?
It does suck when that happens. What about remember the guy who was, likewise, vastly wealthy? I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he took care of the tuition for I think it was an all-black college, and he had been a graduate. It said it changed his life around. And by the way, I forget exactly where he presented it. It was at some ceremony, and as you'd imagine, the student body went nuts.
That's so cool.
I don't know how many students they have there now, but my quick math, 1 billion divided by 200,000, that's 5,000. I mean, that's 5,000 students that are going to be taken care of.
That's huge. Wow. That's like
it's like $1 billion.
That is like $1 billion. Actually, it is like $1 billion.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of another scenario that popped up in my head, and I can't remember it because my mind is
a river. You're even thinking about Benicio del Toro.
All right, I got something else. We're going to move on. All right. What?
I like that
She was from Delco.
You like that story?
Yeah.
Delco. I have more stories you're going to like.
Okay,
All right,
yeah.
Okay,
All
and this one maybe you'll like, maybe you won't, but there's one in here that you'll definitely like. All right, so if you're struggling to find focus on a single thought or task, you might find yourself constantly distracted by social media. You may have what is known as popcorn brain.
Popcorn brain.
Yes. Coined by researcher David Levy in 2011, the term popcorn brain refers to a person's attention quickly jumping from one thought to another one, like kernels popping in popcorn.
Okay, that makes sense. Would this be akin to I have very bad ADD. Would this be similar to that?
I don't know if it's ADD, but it's maybe. Yeah, you just can't stay focused on a task. So overall, people aren't diagnosed with attention deficit disorder can have this popcorn brain thing. A 2003
I love popcorn.
Study by the University of California, Irvine found the average attention span. This is in 2003.
Okay.
The average attention span of someone was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, in 2012, it goes from 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The average attention span went to 75 seconds. And now the attention span for most people is about 47 seconds.
But they're kind of blaming it or tying it to social media.
Right,
Exactly.
on the quick advancing of something, one right after another.
Exactly.
I find myself, though, when you're interested in something, I can get lost in it for a long time. I know you're the same way.
On social media?
Well,
or anything?
Just in general. So I guess I stand, I'm anomalous when it comes to, ADD folk. In some ways.
You know what's terrible, though, is so focusing on something. So specifically speaking about social media, if I'm on Instagram or TikTok and I'm scrolling through something and something grabs my attention, I'll start watching it. But I know in my head, I don't want to watch too long because if I end up not liking it, I don't want it to.
Right past this one.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever give your kids the aux in the car, the auxiliary, and let them play DJ while you're driving?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because I've noticed that my children, mainly my son, is incapable of listening to a song all the way through.
Is that right?
He just
So will not follow a song through to the conclusion.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
wasn't sure if you
listen to Jace listens to full songs, and sometimes I'm like, "Dear God, can we fast forward?
Can we move this along,
Can
please?
we move this along?"
So over time, they found this constant demand for attention and the rapid switching between tasks can lead to a feeling of mental restlessness or the brain bouncing around as it struggles to maintain focus on any one task for an extended period.
Is it almost like fear of being left out? Like you're
I don't know if there's FOMO or not with that. Social media is a major contributing factor to the declining attention span. They said that the experience is extremely addictive, more addictive than any other activity because you have these small amounts of dopamine being stimulated on a very frequent basis, and to stop the pattern is extremely difficult.
That was a major part of the whole model of social media. You remember that series on Netflix about
the social dilemma?
Yeah, creating that dopamine rush.
Yep. And that's why you get sometimes, notifications.
Yes.
Like, hey, somebody just posted something that you really like. Make sure you don't miss it.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Mental health experts suggest reducing social media time rather than trying to quit cold turkey. Experts also suggest participating in screen-free activities and focusing on one thing at a time rather than trying to multitask. I have a weird. My thing is, so I won't scroll for very long. I'll do it if I'm a little bit bored and I've done everything else and I have nothing else to do, and I'll start to flip through some stuff, and then after a while, I'll realize what I'm doing, and that just these little 1 minute snippets or whatever. That seems like a waste of time to me. So then I'll move on to something else.
Do you get the assessments of your screen time on a weekly basis?
Sometimes.
And how do they usually trend? Are they consistent or are they erratic?
They're erratic because sometimes I will leave. Like I listen to audiobooks, so that sees that as screen time.
Yeah, same here.
I also use it like a sound machine on my phone as well. And if the screen stays on for a long time for whatever reason, it will see that as screen time. Or if I'm playing music, it takes
Sees it
that
as screen time.
If I'm playing my drums and I'm using my phone for the music, it will see that as screen time.
GPS, all of that.
Yeah,
I do try
exactly.
to get my number to come down though.
Do you?
Yeah, like each week it's like you've watched 23% less or been on your phone 23% less.
Do you take the phone out to the garage and scroll backwards so you can bring the mileage down?
Right. Last week, Kathy, we had a couple days off, and as a result, I wasn't at work, and as a result, my screen time went down. So I wasn't at work scrolling through Instagram on Monday and Tuesday, so my screen time for last week was down. But right now, Steve, I have 6 screens, 7 including yours, right in front of my face. And our job does not help with any of this kind of stuff. I mean, we're being pulled in a lot of different directions. I saw something the other day that said, essentially, and this applies to me, you go from your middle-sized screen to your small screen to your big screen when you're watching TV. And if I can minimize that a little bit, Preston, you and I have talked about this a little bit. Like, I try not to have more than one screen at once. Like, if I'm watching something on TV, I don't want my phone in front of me to distract me from the other screen that I'm watching at that time.
Casey said you virtually never watch television without having your phone out, right?
Yeah, it's what I do. I sit there with the TV. In fact, last night I was sitting there on my phone. The TV was on, and I was there. I play Toon Blast. I don't know if you guys are into that stupid game, but I am. And I'm sitting there playing Toon Blast, and I realized, I'm like, hang on, this TV's on, but I'm not watching anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But and then I watched Dune the other night, and
you got to focus on Dune.
You have to. So, and I did a pretty good job. I mean, I wasn't completely and totally.
How much Toon Blast did you get in during Dune?
I don't think I did Toon Blast while I was watching Dune, because I knew I needed to focus on it, and I'm really glad I did because I had already watched Dune before.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching, I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
Right.
Worms.
Popcorn brain is apparently it's a thing.
Interesting.
So
I wonder how many other concessions are.
It's our attention span. Yeah.
Snowcat brain.
Yeah. Pretzel butt. I don't know.
Pretzel butt.
Yeah. All right. Let me see what else we got here. Stream of consciousness nerd.
The stream of consciousness nerd.
Casey, all right, here's a sweet story for you. I love stories like this. So school bus driver Larry Ferris is known in his community for going above and beyond, and now he's touching the hearts of strangers with an act of kindness. It went viral. This happened like a week or two ago. He drives a bus for Louisville, Kentucky for school, and you notice a little boy named Levi was having a rough morning. He said, normally I pull up, he's standing there waiting for me with a big smile, but on this day he was sitting on the ground with a jacket over his head.
Oh.
And I asked him, hey, buddy, what's going on? What's wrong? And that's when Levi, he's a first grader, explained through tears that he didn't have pajamas for pajama day.
Oh my!
So he closed the bus driver closed the door, watched the kid slid into the seat away from his friends, and he said, knowing that Levi wanted to participate but couldn't, filled him with sadness, and he thought, I gotta fix this. So after he finished up his morning routes, he went to a Family Dollar store and he bought 2 pairs of pajamas, and then he went back to the school. And then he handed it to him. He said he was so excited. He should have seen how his face lit
These
up.
are crap.
The
dollar store? Oh, thanks, man. I guess I'm worth $1.
He said that Levi hugged the pajamas to his chest. And they Mr. Larry, as the kids call him, turned Levi's whole day around. And he said, Levi said, I can tell Mr. Larry is nice and his heart is filled with joy.
That's a good person.
When he got my pajamas, I did a happy cry.
Now your mom,
goodness,
your mom is single, right? Now, you know what? I remember clearly as a kid, and I've mentioned this on the air, where I got to the bus stop way early. I was usually there with a whole bunch of other people. I was alone, and I don't know how it ended up that way, but the bus driver was passing on the way to start the route and saw me there, and because it was cold out, he picked me up. He took me to the school, took me to the cafeteria. They hooked me up with some ice cream.
Oh.
And then he just made sure I was looked out for, which was an awesome thing. And as a kid, even at that point, I realized, wow, that was really nice.
There's an Instagram account that I follow, and Casey has this stuff pop up from time to time. It's called Good News Dog, and it's all. They'll make you cry. It's these heartwarming,
Who's the good news now, dog?
wonderful little heartwarming stories.
You need that.
And I do need that from time to time, and if it's worth a follow because
it's called Good News Dog.
Good News Dog, and
it's just nice to be reminded that there is a lot of good in this world.
There sure is.
Yeah, and there's
absolutely, and it goes by the name Kathy Romano.
And not all of it is just make you cry stories. Some of it's funny and cute, but a lot of it's just all got great heart to it. So if you need to feel better right there, make sure that you check out that account. I think you'll like it. Here's another sweet little story, kind of not as heartwarming as that one, but this is local. Apparently, tiny toys hidden throughout a Philadelphia neighborhood are sparking joy in unexpected ways. I saw this
toys
on 6ABC. Did you see this story, Kath?
No, I didn't see it.
I love toys.
They're being called the Fish of Fishtown.
Okay.
Someone who remains anonymous has been hiding little plastic goldfish.
It's probably Kristen.
Herman?
Yeah.
Yeah?
She's an angel.
She is an angel,
She
and
is.
she lives in Fishtown. That's probably what she's doing.
But they're randomly placed in all sorts of areas, like on top of a lion statue or hanging out of the crevices of a building's brick facade. There have even been there was a blue one spotted on top of a tin can and another goldfish hidden in a tree waiting for somebody to come along and
stuff
say
like
hello.
this.
Yeah.
Preston, and it's good opportunity to bring this up around Mount Airy and Germantown and a couple of the other neighboring towns. I see these signs that have popped up that say "You are loved."
Yeah,
that's great.
And that's
it's important.
Are they signs or little cards?
They're like little. A lot of them seem handmade.
Oh, okay.
But they're signs as well. But it just says "You are loved."
Because there's a woman locally who, and I'll have to look up her name, but I did have her on her story years ago. But she basically just made up little cards, and that's all it says. It's just like positive statements, and she just hands them out. Like she'll just be walking down the street and she'll hand it to somebody. It's not a promotion for anything.
As
it's just a little nice comment.
Yeah, I don't care what you see that and you smile. You smile because of the message, but you smile because someone took the time to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
I was in the Philly yesterday. I was in Old City. I was walking around. I didn't see a fish, but I did see a bag of dog crap. And
that's sweet.
Yeah.
Just to know. Just to know someone cared.
Yeah.
Did you say Center City?
Old City.
Oh, Old City. Oh, all right. I was
You
like,
are crap.
Yeah.
Oh, so crap in Old City.
You are
fish
bag of dog crap.
in Fishtown.
There was one time I found
You are fart.
this little crocheted heart, and it had a little note on it, and it was for anyone. It was left randomly for anyone who may be considering taking their own life.
Wow.
And it was like this little, lifeline of sorts.
Little
to say-
tactile thing.
Saying, essentially you were loved. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
type of thing. And I thought it was wonderful. And I've forgotten where it is because this was years and years and years ago. And I found it at a park. And it had a web address, and I went and checked it out. And it was like, it stated their message and all that. I thought it was really, really cool. It's a great idea to do stuff like that.
It's like the good that Pope Bot did when we sent it out.
A lot of
Everyone
people, it probably saved lives.
It did save lives.
For all that we know.
We think.
All right, stream of consciousness. Where's my clip? Where's my
Where's
clip of
Preston's Harvey Korman clip?
If you wouldn't mind, Case.
From Blazing Saddles.
My mind is cascading.
Don't we have that?
I need to learn it.
You got to give me a second
We
here.
got to give him a second, guys.
I need to learn it.
My
so,
mind
yes.
is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
All right, let's do something a little more techy. How about that?
I love tech.
There is a device that Samsung teased yesterday. It's called the Galaxy Ring.
Yes.
From the at Mobile World Conference. Revealed some additional details about it. The device is centered around Health and wellness, and will come in 3 colors: platinum silver, gold, and ceramic black. And it is set to go on sale later this year.
Matt Cord wears one.
Yeah. Is it a Samsung one or he has? I mean, it's essentially like a Fitbit for your
For your ring.
It's a ring.
Yeah, it's a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's a ring, and it'll track all of the. But that's what he wears as his wedding ring.
This transmits to your phone as well.
Yeah.
Samsung didn't say much about the Galaxy Ring when it first displayed a render of the device last month. All we knew at the time was that it would be a wellness-oriented wearable positioned to rival Aura, which maybe that's what Matt has. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right.
And that would have a suite of unknown sensors. Journalists weren't allowed to photograph it, but some additional images from Samsung show it to be a chonky, it says.
It's very chonky.
Chonky, concave ring about the same size as the Aura.
So
the extra
chonky.
girth isn't surprising given the electronics cached inside. It will be offered in sizes 5 to 13, marked S through XL inside the band. The size of the battery will vary depending on the size will let you know the battery life that it's going to have. The Aura can go up to 7 days between charges. The ring will track sleep based on heart rate, movement, and breathing, and then provides users advice based on that. The company will also glean data from partner Natural Cycles, which already does fertility tracking on the Galaxy Watch, matching a key Aura feature. So fertility tracking.
Does Matt do that? Because I know he's trying to get pregnant.
Yeah. Well, he needs to know when his cycle is.
Yeah.
The Galaxy Ring will also offer a new tool called My Vitality Score that measures alertness, excuse me, so that users can see if they're at their best.
You're ready to bang.
Feedback will be available via booster cards that offer science-based tips using sleep and other data gathered by the device. So I never fell into the Fitbit thing.
No, not your deal?
I thought the steps thing was kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, but people need that. You know, they need to measure that stuff.
It'll keep you moving, keep you from being sedentary.
You're disciplined. Not everybody's like that. People, you know what I mean? Some people need that, like, oh my gosh, look at my Fitbit. I haven't, like my watch will tell me to stand up. But like you're sitting too long.
Okay. All right. I guess that.
My watch never tells me that.
My idea was you can be walking, you can walk down the hall here, and it's not really exercise. You know what I mean?
No, but you're still moving.
I know.
As opposed to sitting
for
all
some
day
people,
long.
that is actually an improvement on being cajoled, not cajoled, but being reminded that perhaps they need to be a little bit more mobile does make a difference.
Now, like Rochelle was wearing it, and I felt like saying, "Yeah, now really go work out."
Oh, you should have said that to her.
I know, right?
See
You
how
should have loved that one.
Yeah.
We actually want you
Let
to
me
go
ask
and try it.
you, which nut do you want purple?
But it is, especially it's great for your heart rate and can detect when you're something bad is
It
going
has.
on,
So
for
the
sure.
Apple Watch has, on a number of occasions, served that purpose for people who
saved
became
lives.
alert. Yes,
Most definitely.
Yeah. So
it's like my Prince Albert.
My friend's daughter was in a car accident last week, and he was actually in Massachusetts away for business, and he got the crash detection on
from
his
her
phone.
From her phone.
From her phone
right.
to his phone.
Is that wild?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. All right, so I'm not sure when you'll be able to buy this thing, but they showed it essentially the other day.
Stream of consciousness.
All right, last one, yeah, because we got
Last one.
Yes, coming up. I'll make this a short one. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Beverly Hills Unified School District is dealing with an unsettling situation where students at Beverly Vista Middle School used artificial intelligence to create and share nude images of their classmates.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let me tell you something. So I'm using a number of different AI generators just to see what they're like. It is incredibly easy to do.
So here's the deal, and this is a wrong thing to do, and I
It's
think
very
that
wrong.
people should be held accountable for this. But if I were a middle school student and had that, I probably would have done something stupid.
So
like
listen.
that, and would have gotten in a lot of trouble, and would have deserved to gotten in a lot of trouble.
I used to, you'd draw a picture of a girl that you liked or whatever, and you do, and you might
Put big boobs on her.
Right, yeah, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
So, and even still, listen, there are issues with doing that, but keeping it to yourself. But the art of the act of circulating and doing that is a violation, So you can't stop someone from imagining someone.
Yeah.
But this is a whole other level.
Yeah. So the police are working to identify both victims and perpetrators. The generated images superimpose students' faces onto AI-generated nude bodies, leading to reports from concerned students. And the school officials have expressed their commitment to supporting those affected and preventing further incidents, according to this story. Parents and cybersecurity experts are highlighting the need for legislative action to address the growing problem of AI-generated explicit content involving minors because it can look awfully real.
Well, and that now you're in child porn territory.
Yes, absolutely.
It can look very real. It's a whole thing. Well, the whole Taylor Swift has been actively trying to stop the spread of AI-generated nudes.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like illegal images and it's not an actual human being, like what's the
Right.
That's what they got to figure out.
So that's the question.
Wow,
so you really haven't intruded upon their privacy.
Yeah.
But in a school situation, any type of nude material, right, it should be verboten, right?
Yeah,
unless you're in an anatomy class.
I don't know if it exists in the school or not.
Maybe the principal's selling it.
It's hard
You got to check out the bookstore.
But it's pretty wild, man. And this is just, we've touched a little bit on our opinions on AI. There's some wonderful, interesting, cool things that can be done with that. There's some scary stuff as well.
Right now, you want my thumbnail determination of what I believe AI will do for us for the most part? For example, it is a tool in a toolbox. If you use it to be everything, you're going to see how limited it really is. But but we're going to get there, Preston, where you're going to have to be really on your alert.
Yeah. All right, stream of consciousness, that's all we have. Now, we got to wrap it up because we have some really cool guests that are going to be joining us when we return. We'll be chatting with Tim Blake Nelson and his son, who is a writer and director of the film that they're promoting, Asleep in My Palm. We'll get to him next, and Mira Sorvino after those guys. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you very much, Kathy. Our next guests are joining us via Zoom, and they are promoting the film called Asleep in My Palm. It's going to be in theaters March 1st, by the way.
Yes.
So it's coming up, and we have both the writer and director and one of the stars of the film joining us, and one of the stars has been in our studio before, so we are very happy to welcome back, and this is a father and son team, Tim Blake Nelson and Henry Nelson.
Hey, guys.
Good morning.
Great.
Thank you guys for coming on. Quickly, I want to address this right off the bat. Tim, we had you in the studio before you were promoting the movie Just Mercy, and I have to tell you a very short story right off the bat here because when you came in for the interview, you sat down, you're very cordial and everything, but I could tell you weren't quite sure what to think of us, and I don't know if your heart was really into the interview at the very, very beginning. We had a wonderful discussion. We were done. You took off your headphones and you leaned into me and you said these exact words. Now, don't take this the wrong way, but that was surprisingly substantive. And we loved it. It was one of our all-time favorite compliments that we've ever received on the show. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, one doesn't know what to expect on morning radio because it's about entertaining people and sometimes you end up being the fodder for jokes, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You guys entertained, but it was, as I said, substantive.
Thank you. It's an uphill battle we fought for years.
It's Sisyphus with a lot of this. Yeah, but no. But listen, we're thrilled. By the way, for this movie, the trailer alone just grabs you. Henry, this is our first time meeting you. Congratulations on this. Reading some of the advanced reviews, here's one from the Burke reviews. It says, it feels like an understatement to say this is an impressive debut. The film stuck with me when it ended, and it goes on and on. As a director, to hear that, first one out of the gate, that has to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. It was certainly like... It was certainly not frightening, which was what I really thought was going to happen.
Well, you come from doing some reading on you, and I don't know if IMDb can be inaccurate many times, but it seems like you have done a lot of work with behind the scenes as well, with camera and stage stuff, and you kind of have a sort of overarching love of film. Obviously, your father was a great entree into that, but sort of the nuts and bolts of everything seem to appeal to you as well.
Oh yeah, and this is something Dad and I have in common. We love gear, but more broadly, we just love the mechanics and the ways that we just love how movies are made. I think it's one of the coolest parts of it, and so I love crewing and honestly having this year and the last 2 years sort of done more directing than crewing. I can tell you in many respects, and I might get flack for this, but crewing is almost more fun because you don't have the sort of crushing time constraints coming down at you, sort of starting from midway through the day, and it's not the thing you've written for the last 2 years. You just get to hang out with your buds and wonderful people and have great food and be around and watch.
You're not have all those. Well, Tim, you yourself have directed, and so you know that whole process. Is Henry's assessment about the joy level of both accurate as far as how you process these things?
Well, to Henry's credit, I've done no crewing. I've only acted, directed. And so, but I will say that crewing is a lot of work. And one of the reasons I knew Henry would be a good director is because he was a very good and is a very good crew member. And he understands the process from every respect. And I guess now, as we work on stuff together, we really have it all covered in a certain, because I come at it from the acting and have done that, and Henry comes at it as a crew member, and we take a very completist approach. I couldn't be more proud of Henry in what he's accomplishing, and very much, again, to his credit, after we made Asleep in My Palm, which he had directed, he came out to Kentucky and worked in the art department on a movie in which I was acting.
Wow.
And so he went back and crewed after he had directed.
Well, listen, we're fascinated with the methodology of filmmaking in general, but I want to make sure that people are aware of the story of this film because it looks rich. It looks like there's a lot to unpack here. And if you don't mind, Henry, explain a little bit what this is about because it's a very unique scenario.
Well, Asleep in My Palm is about it's about this father-daughter duo, and they're living sort of off the grid, but in close proximity to a liberal arts college. So they literally live in a storage unit, which is a thing folks do. And before writing the movie, I was really interested in what that was like and what the ramifications of that were and how folks do that. But they've sort of built this life together, and the dad's character Tom has this incredibly precise. It seems almost improvised, but it's really a very philosophical and very thought out form of parenting, and the movie largely explores their relationship, but then also the relationship many liberal arts colleges in the middle of the country have with the towns.
It's an interesting dynamic, and in some cases, towns don't exist without the schools, and there's this dichotomy of the people who can go to the school and the people who cannot, and also people who are there's so many levels. This film. Just looking at the trailer reminds me of the films that I miss from the 70s. And films that could be this sort of a film comes to mind called Scarecrow, an old Al Pacino and Gene Hackman character studies, and so they can be tricky again, the reviews are coming in. Tim, seems to be the kind of thing you can completely sink your teeth in to. So you always want to deliver a great performance. When your son is the writer and director, how much more weight is placed on your shoulders?
I'd like to say that it didn't really add weight because I take every role very, very, very seriously, and that sense of responsibility has increased as my career has afforded me the opportunity to do large roles in indie films that effectively help center the movie. And I just feel, regardless of the person, incredibly responsible, and I throw myself into it entirely. With this one, I also produced, and so I guess it was amplified more by that than by being Henry's father. I just believe in Henry, and so there was just such great trust between us. That was in a sense the easy part. But I'd asked these guys, I did this movie called Old Henry, and these guys in Nashville had produced it and financed it. And I took the script to them, and Henry had crewed on that movie, and they financed this entire enterprise. And so that was a huge responsibility.
Right, yeah.
Like Henry and I owed them a really great film. Yeah. And Henry was a great partner in us delivering that.
So, well, we want to make sure that people, obviously it's to me, it distills down to, if I may just to tease, for people to go see the movie, it's a father and daughter. There's a love situation sometimes, they're sort of on hard times, but what can happen is that it appears to be that this is the case, is that, love can also have restrictions to it, and it looks fascinating. It looks compelling. It's again getting rave reviews, and it opens this Friday, correct?
Yeah. That's right. I'm not sure when it opens. It might open in Philadelphia a week from Friday. I'm not sure, but it certainly opens in New York this weekend, and then it's expanding out. And we're very lucky because it's opening in theaters, exclusively.
Excellent. Well, we know you guys' time is short, but we appreciate it once again. So, Henry, congratulations on this debut of yours. And Tim, continued success. And if you ever need an interview with some substance to it, we're your guys, okay?
I'm always going to request this stop.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. Take care, guys. We'll see you. It's called The Sleep in My Palm, and it does look...
It looks great.
Really cool. It looks intense.
I was thinking about, you don't see... so listen, we're in a good situation with the TV stuff and with stuff you see streaming and movies like that and the limited series. But the one-off movies that catch your attention are fewer and farther between. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the smaller, indie horror movies are doing well and genre stuff, but even just...
Well, like Coda, we mentioned that a while back.
Example. Yeah.
And we were like, that came out of nowhere, and that's obviously just a self-contained story, and that's all we're going to get from it. And it was impactful.
And you look at that on paper, and it's like, oh, well, that ain't going to do nothing.
Right. Yeah, but they took it, and they did the right treatment to it, and got the right people, and then it and for some people, it becomes very important.
Well, you talked about the effect of movies on your life and how they can change the course of your life. And you can be inspired by those. There are countless movies. I'd bring up that movie Scarecrow about these two guys who are just they're broken, but sometimes you see yourself in that, and it helps.
And even though they're blockbusters, but for a while the Marvel universe was doing that for me. And then, of course, it turned into what it is. And I'm not disparaging anything about where it is now. But I mean, and we had said, we get so excited.
Yeah.
It was coming out, and just to go early and find your spot. And
Well, we're talking to Mira Sorvino in a little bit. And Romy and Michelle's high school reunion for me is a perfect, joyous movie. So, you're right. Whatever works for you works for you. There, and that you can't take that away. That's the wonderfully subjective nature of movies.
Well, speaking of the MCU, we didn't get a chance to ask Tim Blake Nelson about it, but he's returning to it in Captain America. What is it called? Brave New World. or New World Order, depending on what title they end up going with. But it's the next Captain America movie, and he's coming back as the leader / Samuel Stearns. And I'm curious as to whether or not he's actually filming it at this point.
I'm glad they're going to do that, because that was one of those little things they left dangling out there, because they clearly foreshadowed that he was going to be this character, the leader, and this was the Ed Norton Hulk movie,
right?
And then it just fizzled out and didn't go anywhere.
They were hinting that he might come back in She-Hulk, but that never happened. But it looks like he's back in the next Captain America movie.
I love it. I love that also he crosses those lines between these little indies and big popcorn movies.
Yeah, most definitely. In fact,
he was great in Minority Report.
And supposedly, he was great. And he's going to be in the next maybe Dune 2.
That's what it seems to be. I mean, they kept some secrets casting wise.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right, we got a few minutes here.
I wish we had longer with them.
I know. That literally, and his son Henry is a little. Maybe he needs to learn his interview style. He's a little aloof and kind of takes his time. But
especially with 10 minutes.
And we don't have much time, unfortunately. So, all right.
We need to put our foot down and say 11 minutes from now on.
Come on, man.
Is there a rock band concert tonight?
There is a rock band concert. And
You mean rock and roll music?
Yeah. No, Caroline, my youngest, is in the Souderton area high school rock band class, and they have a fundraiser tonight. It's a concert. And not only that, Rochelle whipped up some pretty badass raffle baskets.
Really?
Yeah, there's a one that's all Girl Scout cookies.
Oh,
which is pretty
great.
awesome. Yeah. And those are going to be for sale, and it's tonight at the high school, and it'll be at 6:30, and the kids are going to play, and it'll be fun. I will definitely be there. It's going to be a good time. What's this?
This is rock and roll. Good old Velvet Underground.
Velvet Underground. And they pull out some interesting selections for what they perform. It's everything from standard classic rock stuff to indie punk stuff. To,
love that.
Yeah, it's really neat. So that'll be tonight, by the way, for those. Hey, by the way, speaking of students and kids, your daughter, Casey, why don't you make the announcement, man?
So my daughter.
You don't have to.
I don't?
Every time.
We were just saying, you're out of the room, Kathy, and I said one of the new joys is to know that it annoys you.
Yeah.
It's just like not every time. Doesn't have to.
So, long story is this.
This is your daughter.
She competed in a Shakespeare competition at her high school.
Yeah.
And she won that competition at her high school and was then invited to it's called the English Speaking Union Philadelphia Branch Shakespeare Competition. So, all the area high schools have their own individual ones, and then they meet in Philadelphia. And it was at the Museum of American Revolution. I don't know if you guys have ever been there.
I've heard it's great.
Beautiful building. So she competed in the Shakespeare competition, the Philadelphia one, and she won.
That's amazing.
Wow.
She won, and not only that, but she is now invited to the national competition at the Lincoln Center in New York City.
So did you do a monologue or what?
Yeah. So she did she did the to be or not to be monologue from Hamlet.
Yeah.
And
from Omelet.
From Omelet, and it was interesting because she did that, and then they did this little workshop, and I think they were being judged on all of it, right? So your monologue, then this little workshop. It was like an improvisational workshop, and then after that workshop, they were all 15 of these students were given monologues that they had to do cold reads. They were given 15 minutes for a monologue that they had never seen before, and then they'd go up and do the monologues as well. Listen, man, Shakespeare is...
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Forget him.
It's the topic you cave in when it appears on Jeopardy.
What it is, though, is impressive to see someone reciting, whether you understand it or not, because I surely as hell do not. But when the person who is performing a soliloquy or something like that from Shakespeare... the fact that they know what all that means and they're adding the right inflections to that and the right pacing is impressive as hell.
Well, when you for example, when we study Shakespeare in high school, they would bring in a corresponding movie. They were smart enough to know that to see it performed really does help.
Yeah, my mom was an English teacher, Steve, and she would teach Shakespeare, but at the end of every session that she would teach or whatever play it was, she would take them to see the play.
Yeah.
And Casey, I'm curious as to whether or not when you were watching your daughter doing this, if you understood it, at least some of the subtext a little bit better, because it became personal for you.
All right, so are you talking about the monologue or the cold read?
The monologue.
Sadly, I got there after the monologue.
What about the cold read?
There was a cold read?
Yeah, so the cold read was at the very end. And
All right, for those who don't know it, I'm sorry. Let me. It's an industry term. A cold read is when they hand you something you've never seen before and you read it without glancing at it at all. And sometimes that happens in this business that we do.
It was a last poor Drinkenstein.
Yeah. But thankfully, my wife videotaped it, so I was able to watch her performance. I just wasn't able to see it live. It's you guys know I raced out of here. As soon
You
as I
did. You
possibly
flew
could
out.
yesterday.
No, you were there. You
We got
did the
your
deal.
back, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
But
cool.
To answer my question, did you understand a little bit better?
The cold read.
No, no. I mean, to be or not, I don't even know what is he saying in that monologue.
Does my existence matter?
Right.
Yep. To be or not to be. To exist or not.
That is
to
the
exist.
question, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It is nobler.
Something.
It is nobler in the mind. What is that?
That's Billy Madison.
Thank you.
That's,
Thank you. Eric.
Eric does Hamlet.
That's right. So here's the cool thing: is she's invited to perform and compete at the national level at the Lincoln Center in New York City, and if she were to win that, she gets like a 6-week study in London.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's
with
insane.
British people,
with the actual Brits, who speak that language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
So she'll be over there. It should be by the Globe Theater, right?
Yeah.
Classic. Wow.
I mean, yeah, she's having a hell of a senior year. It's
the bitch is she wouldn't be able to work under Kevin Spacey, who ran the Globe for a while. So
Well, she
listen,
wouldn't do it for him anyway.
that's an incredible accomplishment case. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Press, we have the monologue here if you would like
It's
to deliver it.
slightly out of focus. I'll have to stand up to do it. Hang on a second here. This
Wait.
is Cold read. Here we go.
Wait. Let me get you. I feel like
Drinkenstein?
not Drinkenstein.
You need some kind of filler,
Are you ready?
something to yes. Okay, here we go.
Well, this is someone assessing their.
It's all right.
Yeah,
This is a period.
a little bit
piece
more
of music.
whimsical.
So, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache, and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance, to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come. That was a Robin Williams movie.
Yes, it is.
Then we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
There are so many pop culture references.
Yeah, there's a lot
just in that
in that
soliloquy.
soliloquy,
Yeah, and it's remarkable to me when those things show up in your life. And like Method to the Madness, that's also from Hamlet. And like you never know where you often don't know, or I often don't know where these phrases come from, but more often than not, that's from Shakespeare in origin.
Yeah, so obviously there were several lines in there that are used for movie titles and standard axioms.
Standard cliches. I was my son yesterday didn't know a cliche that I had said, and he was kind of making fun of me. I was like, dude, that is totally Shakespeare, and that was not for nothing. There you go.
Not for nothing.
Not for nothing. I
yeah.
think that was in Macbeth.
Okay.
Macbeth.
Macbeth.
And they call him Mac the Beth.
There's you know what is actually kind of fun is the list of insults.
Yes.
There's tons of them.
Sea sucker.
From Shakespeare.
Yeah.
No, there's some pretty good ones. The only Shakespeare that I do remember from high school was Julius Caesar.
I love Julius Caesar.
My teacher made it somewhat interesting. Not the entire story, but the whole, et tu Brute and all that stuff, the famous scene where they kill him. I did find that one interesting. The rest of it sucked ass. But,
sucked ass.
Well, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it,
When they finally get into the Tri-Lambs. I'd say this.
Hold it there, Coach.
Macbeth. And you know what? So The Tempest has been employed a number of times in like a great movie, Forbidden Planet is basically The Tempest. So again, I am woefully, and I know I'm pretty good, but I mean, just when the topic comes up on Jeopardy, I tap out. I don't process it.
And they've brought you the most some of the most well-known on Jeopardy. They don't
They're going for
they don't go crazy deep
super
on it.
general, yeah. But
So
when you
here's-
do take the deep dive, it is actually really cool.
Here's one of the
Yo.
insults. Away, you starveling, you elf skin, you dried neat's tongue, bull's pizzle, you stockfish.
So bull's pizzle is pee-pee.
That's a penis. I do know that one.
Oh.
You rhinoceros pizzle.
Thank you.
That's how I learned
Coming
that
to
one.
America.
Again, movie knowledge.
Let me see another one, Connor, if you wouldn't mind. Scroll up. Away, you 3-inch fool.
Yeah.
Come, you frowned and unable worms.
You frowered.
Go prick thy face, and overread thy fear, thou lily-livered boy. Lily-livered.
Lily-livered, yes.
Okay, when did William Shakespeare live?
It was about 30 years ago.
30 years ago? Wow, I didn't realize
he was a
that.
contemporary of James Dean.
Late 1500s to early 1600s.
Okay.
God, that's another thing I suck with. Dates. Years. Forget it.
Yeah, I'm good at
Time
that.
You're pretty good at that?
Yep.
How do you make that happen? Why does that stick?
It just sticks in my brain.
It just does.
We've talked about like the movies before, but like I memorized movie dates in the year that they came out from say 82 on, and you give me a movie in between 1982 and now, and it was relatively popular. I can tell you the year it came out. A lot of it is just like repetition and looking at the information over and over again.
I know all the silent films, of course, because of my age. I can Wings and
you were there. You were lined up.
Yeah.
For them.
The
Honestly,
jazz
like
singer.
a lot of it is Jeopardy. I watch Jeopardy almost every night, and you learn like trivia by watching Jeopardy. Even the clues. I get mad at myself when I don't get a Jeopardy answer right. But so then I learn it because
That's
I
how
got
Ken
it wrong.
Ken Jennings freely admits.
Yeah.
It was his command of Insignifica occurred because of watching game shows.
But Nick, years of world events, you're pretty good with that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can quote them pretty well. I don't know if you guys watched Jeopardy last night, but the dude from Ocean City, who was a really good champion last year, he lost, and it was the first round. Yeah, Chris Panullo was his name.
He got taken up by he wasn't lucky with the Daily Doubles.
Yeah, and the dude who won bet the Daily Double. Like I think he went all in twice.
It's a James Holzhauer move.
Yeah, but he ended up winning by a lot. It was an impressive match last night.
Wow. You want to hear some more insults?
Yeah.
Lay 'em on me.
All right. I like this one. Thou art a boil, a plague sore. It's a pretty good one.
I do like that.
I like
if
that
you were to
one.
whip that on someone, if you can confuse someone with an insult, it's that much more effective.
You stupid.
Yeah.
Here's another one. There's no more faith in thee than in a stewed prune. Thine face is not worth sunburning.
Yeah, I like
I
that
don't
one.
get it.
That's funny.
You're so ugly, you shouldn't even go out in the sun and get it burnt.
That's
Oh.
good. See?
Yeah.
You don't know what it means.
I'd be like, that's great and all, but like, I don't understand what you're saying. So if I don't understand the insult, is it an insult?
Then you win.
Yeah.
Thou art as fat as butter.
Well, that's good. Butter is full of fat.
My grandmother used to say, you're fat as mud.
I like that.
What the hell does that
Yeah,
mean?
what does
Mud
that
has
mean?
no
Fat as mud. Here's another one. Thou art unfit for any place but hell. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Thou cream-faced loon. Thou damned and luxurious mountain goat.
I can't help but hear Peter Dinklage saying these.
Yeah, totally. Let's see what else we have here. Thou, like the toad, ugly and venomous. Yeah. Thou clay-brained guts. Thou naughty-pated fool. Thou whore son, obscene, greasy tallow catch.
Is that horse son or whore's son?
WHORESON.
Okay.
So I think it's whoreson.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thou lump of foul deformity. And you look like a bucket of.
That's honest to God. Like, that's where I would go with it. Oh,
Well,
really?
it probably won't be taught in, in college courses. Bucket of S probably won't be on the curriculum.
Did Shakespeare ever use actual curse words?
He used dickhead.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was a favorite of his.
I mean, was pizzle a curse word back in the day?
Pizzle would have been. Would that have been a slang?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, here's all right.
All
Yes.
right, yes.
Here's a good one. And this is him speaking to someone he hates. or she, I don't know who, well, it'll be a guy because it says, villain, I have done thy mother. I banged your mom.
Yes.
There you go.
Right.
And that has withstood the test of time.
What's up, Shakespeare?
Props.
Here's a good one that would has modern day applications. Preston up on the screen. 17.
What is that first word?
Aroint?
Aroint thee. Go away, rump-fed reunion, slut.
I like how he ends with slut.
Yeah.
So you're an ass-fed reunion slut, is what they're saying, right?
Runyon, not reunion.
Okay.
Oh, I said reunion.
Yeah.
He's talking about John Runyon.
What's a runyon?
It's like a fat onion.
No, it is not, is it?
It's the snack that came after Funyuns.
Runyons. Yeah. I like that. All right. Here's one that says, you scullion, you rempallion, you fustularian, I tickle your catastrophe.
Scullion. I hit a home run at Scullion Field in Clifton Heights once.
Try to find one thing out of each one of these. Your brain is as dry as the remainder biscuit after voyage.
Oh, yeah? Well,
your brain has the shell on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the Tommy Boy version of Shakespeare.
Double, double, toil and trouble.
That's all I know. That's from Macbeth.
That's Shakespeare?
Yeah.
I
It's
never
the
knew that.
witches. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was Shakespeare. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You have such a February face, so full of frost, of storm and cloudiness.
Nah.
But again, of course, the context has changed over time. Maybe February at that time is considered the ugliest of months.
It probably was. It still is, I think.
You have a face, thou hast a face like a smashed ass.
There we go.
Veiny and pulpy and robust with fecal matter.
Dost thou pick dingleberries from thine teeth?
Yes. And make a wine bitter.
Yeah.
I can't even fake talk like Shakespeare. You know?
Like I just did?
Like you just did?
Okay.
Like doth thou do. I can't do it. Dith thou shall mustn't.
Honestly, I would have bought that if I was sitting in the theater. I would have said, "Oh, we came on a good night. We came. No, these aren't the understudies.
I'd be like Elmer Fudd.
Thou dost do."
He tossed in a mustn't.
Is that even an English word now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Must not.
Mustn't thou dost do?
It brings to mind the Gary Goldman bit about contractions. And
oh, yeah.
I was just reading the other day, and the contraction of I would have is I'd have.
Yeah.
So it's got two apostrophes in the middle. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty good one.
That's an actual contraction.
It's a double contraction.
Wow.
Yeah. I would have becomes I'd have.
I'd have done something different.
Right.
What is the Norm Macdonald bit? Brain fart, a great bit about. There's a particular word he dissects.
Oh, identification.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I.
Identification.
I stands for I.
Identification.
And the D stands for
Identification.
In the remake of the movie True Grit, and I think I've mentioned this before.
Oh, wait, the Jeff Bridges one?
Yeah, they don't use any contractions in that movie.
No. Yeah.
I cannot. I will not. I do not. They don't say don't, won't, will, any of that stuff. And at first you're kind of, I didn't pick up on it. I'm like, why does this seem so strange? The way that they're speaking, and I think it's because contractions didn't come into. I think they were being historically correct.
The ship that was bringing them over had sunk initially, and so there was a delay.
A couple years late.
Well, the
Where
Goldman,
is that contractions vessel?
The Goldman bit talks about will not and how will not turns into won't and not willn't.
Right.
I don't know how that.
It's actually a brilliant bit.
I looked it up, Case. I didn't know this, but or I had forgotten. It used to be woll not WOOLL, and then eventually in English it became will. So it was woll not became won't.
Okay.
There's
That's
actually,
interesting.
believe it or not, of all people, Gallagher does a great bit about. He's taking spelling and pronunciations, and he just he has basically these cards that are flipping over, and he goes through about 30 variations on words that are really I mean, the absurdity of our language.
Oh man,
when you dissect it, and why the rules are so obtuse. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. That's why being an English teacher would never, ever be something
To
like
be
your
honest,
mom, Nick, to explain.
That's why
or
I say
grammar more
yes.
specifically.
It's much easier to be stupid, which is what I prefer.
English was it was a class I hated. I just could not stand going to, and it wasn't until I was a full-grown adult that I didn't really enjoy reading, and kind of wish I could go back and maybe not really, but but maybe get some insight into the things to read, suggestions to read from somebody who says, hey, here's some great books and here's why you might want to read them. You know what I mean?
But as most kids don't enjoy reading.
They don't care.
Yeah.
I was brought in like through the Marlon Brando, the Julius Caesar,
right?
Laurence Olivier's Shakespeare stuff.
At what age though?
Early.
Yeah, like as a teenager?
Younger.
Okay.
Because my dad was, he loved that stuff. So we would watch it. Did I have any command or understanding? No, but I liked Brando, and I mean, it seemed cooler to me. And I think that's what worked for me. So later on, I wasn't automatically like, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
Did we talk on this show about the 68 version of Romeo and Juliet and the lawsuit that's happening?
The Franco Zeffirelli.
Yes.
Right.
Do you know about that, Preston?
No.
So there's nudity in it, and it's the Italian filmmaker made it, and the two stars who played Romeo and Juliet were teenagers at the time.
That's right.
And I guess they're going to digitally release it, or it's going to be at a streaming platform, but these two people who are still with us are suing, saying we don't want our nude images streaming. I mean, I understand their lawsuit.
Steve, I took a Shakespeare class. It was an entire semester in high school.
Okay.
And, it was difficult for sure, but, the teacher tried to
make it
like
accessible.
And so he would bring in like costumes. And so we would read, we would kind of like,
Right.
bounce off each other and read. Somebody would get a part and, you'd read in the classroom, but whoever was reading at the time would have to put on whatever outfit. And it was just like one little thing. It was like a wig or like a shawl.
Did it make it
like,
more accessible?
I mean, listen, it was more fun than just sitting there reading Shakespeare, not really knowing what we were reading.
Well, did you like the Baz Luhrmann, the Romeo and Juliet, the DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone that had its.
I couldn't even make it through that.
Oh, you couldn't?
I wish I should go back and watch that because they're all great. The cast is awesome in that
it's
movie.
Terrific.
And they do contemporize the scenes or with the where they are, the locations and everything, and make it a little bit more accessible. But
the Roman Polanski Macbeth is very brutal and gory.
Do you guys know actress Alicia Witt?
Yes, love her.
She does tons of Hallmark stuff now, but not only is she a concert pianist, super talented at that, but I believe it was when she was like 5 years old or something like that. She could recite like all of Macbeth or something like that.
So she's in Dune.
She's genius.
She's in the David Lynch version.
Well, that's why they brought her in, because she could do that.
She had that command, yeah.
And they dubbed her voiceover, which was really weird. But
who did they use?
I don't know.
God, it was an older actress doing a younger voice.
But there was she could recite like a ridiculous amount of Shakespeare at a stupid young age, like pre-K maybe even. It was really, really interesting. All right, I see Marissa's lips moving, and I think our guest is ready to go. So we can suspend Shakespeare chat.
Yes, and I think we just held a master's class.
I think we
on
did.
Shakespeare,
Is that what we just did?
how to process it.
Yeah. Well, she's ready to go and is promoting the fact that there is a screening of Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. It'll be at the Keswick Theater on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. You can get tickets at keswicktheater.com, and she will be there. A little Q&A is happening as well. Please welcome the amazing Mira Sorvino.
Hi.
Good morning, Mira. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you. I apologize for the shades. I have an abrasion on my eye, which I had to go to 2 different doctor visits for. So it's better this way, I promise.
On your eyeball?
It's on my eyelid, but then my eye also got infected.
You can't screw with stuff like that. No, you know what? You look very stylish. So I have to tell you, I'm as are many people, but I'm a massive fan of Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. I consider it a perfect film. I watched it again last night. Saw it twice in the theater when it came out. It is just such a push your phone. Can we do that?
Maybe we could do that.
You think it's my phone, my computer?
No, we've had some. There's outages here in this area. Might be it. Would it be better? Is that something we can finagle, Nick? Or
well, we can probably just give her the information via Zoom right now. If Marissa wants to give her the hotline, we could then have her
if we
call.
keep freezing up, we can do a phone call if you'd like, Mira.
Because we want to get word out about this event. It's awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we can keep talking, and then if it doesn't work, just in the text chain, send me the phone call.
All right, I think that's happening.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, your question again. Steve.
No, just simply that your fandom of the movie is huge as well. You seem to be very much in tune with the fan base for Romeo and Michelle, and that you are a fan yourself. Would that be correct to say?
I love this movie. I said yes to this movie years ago just because it really had something special, and it reminded me of me and my best friends when I was in high school. I had two best friends, but both of us, we'd have like two and two, but it was us against the world kind of thing. And most people are not the prom queen, and we were not the prom queen, and you have to find your validation from within and from each other. And also, they're ridiculous, and but they think they're smart. They're not, but they're awesome, and I love them. And I just love the humor. I love everything about it. I love the music.
What it does is it ties into most people have the experience that Romeo and Michelle have, which is they consider themselves outside the popular group, but yet Janine Garofalo's character Heather Mooney has a revelation at the end where she says, "Wow, I guess everyone craps on everyone at some way," but the heart of Romeo and Michelle, and the fact that even though they are so wonderfully dumb, but their hearts are in the right place, that's what makes it so good. Now, it was Robin Schiff, the writer, correct? Is she working on a new version? Because we hear about the new version coming. Is that in fact happening?
Yeah. So we have said before in the press that we are working on a sequel. The awesome thing about that is that the impetus for that, which we've wanted to happen for years, but we could never really get that fire going. When Lisa and I showed up to the SAG Awards dressed in the pink and blue tuxedos.
Yes.
It went viral, and it sparked like this whole conversation. Wow, there really is still this appetite for these characters in this story. So that's when we were able to pitch a studio, the concept, Lisa and Robin and myself. And, we're in development with them, and Robin is going to be handing in a draft sometime in the next month or so. So very exciting.
That's terrific. So she was a member of the group, the Groundlings, and she had worked with Lisa Kudrow with that group, right? And so they had done, those characters existed before the movie, correct?
They did. They were sort of like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in a play called The Ladies' Room. They were two characters that would go kind of in and out.
And you were relaying a story in one interview, which I thought was hilarious. You were and this is the impact, I think, of Romeo and Michelle. And these things, you can't force things like this to happen. But when a movie catches on and becomes part of the consciousness, the pop culture, Mount Rushmore, you were in the Louvre and something happened. Could you relay what happened?
Yeah, I was in the Louvre Museum in Paris. I'm an art geek. I love going to museums. Every time I go to Paris, I'll go to all the museums. And somebody taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and it's like a teenage girl. And she says, "I'm the Mary." And I was like, "Excuse me?" Because it was so out of context. She says, "I'm the Mary." And I was like, oh my gosh, people are doing lines from Romeo and Michelle. We used to do this with Animal House when I was a kid. Like we used to do, we used to do this with a couple of movies, or Ferris Bueller. And here she was doing it with my movie. And I was so excited and touched,
Well, and as well you should be, because Lisa Kudrow, as you've pointed out, is a machine when it comes to comedy. But you hold your own, and you have some of the best. There's just some physical comedy. I was watching again last night, and every scene has a laugh. The scene where you are in your Material Girl Madonna stage in the dance club, by the way, some great numbers, and you're whipping your hair around and you're slapping her in the face, but the look on your face is so innocent, and it's just great. There's so many subtle moments like that. Was that a concern of yours? Because you just done Mighty Aphrodite, and you'd won the Oscar for that. But was it kind of daunting to get with this collective of people who had worked on The Simpsons and so on and so forth, and try your comedy chops?
No, I mean, I I didn't look at it that way. You know, I wasn't like, what should I be intimidated about this? You know, like I fell in love with the character and it made me laugh on the page. Like when I was reading it, it made me laugh out loud, and very few scripts do that. And when they do, that's something you should really pay attention to.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I became, hang on one second, honey. The bagel is over there.
What kind of bagel?
It's an everything bagel, just with cream cheese.
Good choice.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
choice.
Good call.
But it's my 17-year-old son. High school. I wanted to figure out the character, right? So I was working on the voice and how the voice sounded to me in my head. And then I thought about my sister, Amanda Sorvino, who as a kid had this best friend named Murph. I mean, she was really named Diane, but they called each other Murph.
Yeah.
And they spoke like Valley girls, but we lived in New Jersey and it was really weird. And then, so I just decided to borrow their weird little rapport, but then make it lower, because I think there's something about Romy where she almost fancies herself to be like a John Wayne type character. Like she kind of swaggers into places, you know, she's kind of a little bit masculine and full of bravura, and she's, or bravado. I always confuse those two. But anyway, she just has that Captain Kirk energy.
Yeah.
And I had to put that into her voice. So those were the things I was concerned with, not like whether I was going to cut it with my co-stars. Honestly, I became a Friends fan years after doing Romeo and Michelle. So I hadn't seen much Friends at the time. And I met Lisa and just loved Lisa for Lisa. And later I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible comedian ever.
Right.
But, you know, I was very busy in those years trying to get my career off the ground. And I don't even think I had up until I moved, I don't think I even had a TV in my apartment.
Really?
Like, I didn't have a TV in my first apartment, my first crappy, horrible apartment. I didn't have a TV.
Well, you talk about the impact of a movie, and there's so many quote. You talk about who's the Mary, who's the Rhoda, but of course Post-its figures prominently in the movie. And I was watching. I think you were being interviewed by the Huffington Post, and they actually connected through to the actual creator. His name is Art Fry of Post-its.
That was crazy.
And he relayed a story that he says now when he goes to his school reunions, they bring up Romy and Michelle. And and that's the thing. So that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And you took that picture, I guess it's Entertainment Weekly, where you guys were covered in the post.
Dressed in Post-its. Whoever the costumes, I'm sorry that I don't know the fashion stylist or the designer who made those, but they made dresses out of Post-its for me and Lisa that were just incredible. They were so cool.
If you're just tuning in, it's Mira Sorvino, and there's a screening of Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. It's Sunday at the Keswick Theater. Tickets on sale now. I have to ask Mira, shortly we had you on, Casey, our producer, his daughter just won a Shakespeare competition, so we had a little conversation about Shakespeare. I was wondering what your knowledge of Shakespeare was, and did that give you confidence going into your run on Jeopardy, just in case a Shakespeare category were to come up?
That's so funny. I mean, I think I have the same basic Shakespeare. You can go. Asking for permission to make noise. You have to get ice. I did. I went to Dwight Englewood School in Englewood, New Jersey, which maybe some people in your area, might know about. But they had a great English department. So of course we read a Shakespeare book every year. And I was actually a witch in Macbeth. Oh. double toilet trouble.
I just said that.
He was just quoting
like the only line I know.
But the bummer about that was that it was like a student directed production, and it was a senior project, and the student was like really ambitious, and she wanted to make it like super like cinema verite, except on the stage. And for the cauldron, she had us put like the remains of fetal pigs in the cauldron. And I was sort of horrified. I was like, what? And like it was like all over my hands and blah, blah, blah. And, we had to dissect fetal pigs for AP Bio, but like to use them as a prop seemed really wrong. And I went home to my dad and he was like, you'll never use real, biological remains on stage. You should use spaghetti and grapes. And he got really mad. So I went to the school and I told her I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm sorry. And since then I'm a vegetarian, so I would be even more.
It made you a vegetarian.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, but I digress. Yeah, so I didn't do any special Shakespeare preparation.
Okay.
But
Well, I don't even know if you were aware of this, but you dropped a Shakespeare reference earlier in this particular conversation. You talked about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they are from Hamlet. Yeah, so you did it earlier, and you talked a little bit about your dad, and I wanted to ask you just briefly. We lost him back in 2022, but did he end up spending this sort of the second half of his life in the Poconos? Did he live in our area for a long stretch?
He did. He lived in Broadheadsville.
Okay. And that's in Monroe County, right?
Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of time there, with your dad?
I think it's Monroe County. I honestly can't actually answer that correctly, but it's near Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would go visit him a lot there. Yeah, we would visit. He loved it. He was very happy there. He ultimately sold it after a while, but I think it hurt him to sell it. But he loved it. He had like 20 acres and he built a pool and he had a tennis court and he just loved living the sort of country gentleman life. I think it was something he dreamed of since he was a kid, being a Brooklyn boy.
It's so funny because I watch, every time we get around the Oscars, I watch your dad's reaction to you winning the Oscar is one of the most touching, beautiful father-daughter moments. He is so proud and so overwhelmed and crying. And do you occasionally go back and take a look at that?
Yeah, I mean, now and then it pops up on my feed, online. I mean, I don't usually pull it out, but because I lived it. Also, I have my own memories of it. But yeah, that was a pretty special moment.
He was such a towering presence, on screen, and his acting. He inspired so many other actors. You had him right there in the house. What was besides the using real entrails? What was the most salient piece of acting advice he ever gave you?
Oh, there were so many. I mean, he started teaching me when I was 8 years old. Like he taught me how to cry. That I would have to go to the middle of the stairway, halfway up, halfway down, and sit there and think about something incredibly sad and not come down until I was in tears and ready to do the scene in tears. Wow. He taught me to emotionally prepare for the scene. He taught me stick with the other fellow and you'll never be wrong. You might be boring, but you'll never be false. That you're always in a 2-person or multiple person relationship in a scene. It's not like you just planning your lines and then delivering them as like a fait accompli, and then other people just kind of come in and out with their lines. Right. You're always in a living, breathing relationship, in a conversation. And, acting is reacting. I mean, he was very Meisner. He studied with Sanford Meisner in the 60s and Bill Esper. And then I later studied with Bill Esper and Win Hanman and used to read Sanford Meisner's book when I was coaching actors, when I directed them in college. He just gave me, but one of the great life and artistic lessons he gave me was to not be afraid to fail, because if you don't give yourself the license to fail, you'll never soar. You'll just be kind of safe.
That's
give
great.
a nice, pleasant performance, but you have to go with your own gut instincts, make a big, bold choice, work your butt off on it, and then, take your best swing at it like a baseball player at the plate, and don't be afraid. So what? The worst that can happen is you get fired, and, everybody's been fired once or twice. And, just say, he literally said, just say blanket, because this was when I was
that's what Romeo and Michelle do. Romeo and Michelle. Yeah. So there you go. There's the ultimate realization of what your father's advice is. And that's what makes it, I think, resonate even to this day with so many people.
So the show, like I said, is going to be Sunday at the Keswick screening and a Q&A and the whole deal. It's great that you're doing this. Thanks for bringing this to our area, Mira, because people are really going to enjoy it. It's going to be a great night, and we appreciate you spending some time.
I love sort of seeing how it, it has meant something to people like that. As a screen actor, you rarely get to meet your audience, right? You really, you're kind of separated by having done the production years ago, and it just appears privately to people. And then when you find out that it became something important to them, it's moving, because it means you did something with your life that actually had meaning for other people. So
yeah, awesome. And this definitely did. It's provided me many, many hours of joy watching it, and it did just last night. So I know people are going to love it.
Good for you. I love it. Mira, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have fun Sunday night, okay?
thank you.
You got it. Mira Sorvino, guys. Romy and Michelle's high school reunion Sunday night at the Keswick Theater. You can get tickets at keswicktheater.com.
Have you seen it many times?
Yeah, not many times.
Yeah,
Just, in fact, I saw it one time, I believe.
Okay,
So.
yeah. It is. And Janine Garofalo has some of the greatest asides. And look, always there's that famous time after time dance scene at the end where they are on the dance flour. And
with Alan Cumming.
Right, Alan Cumming. And so Janine Garofalo's character, Heather, is just standing there and she's just, dour and down and she just looks and she gives this look I was mentioning to you, Nick, earlier, and it just cracks you up because that's her character.
Nice. All right, we got to take a break. So we're going to do that very thing. Come back in a moment. We got some B-File stories awaiting ahead. Stay with us.
Preston and Steve.
WMMR.
WMMR presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you this morning by Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Live Casino presents comedian Marlon Wayans on March 8th, and tickets are on sale at livecasinophilly.com, by the way. All right, this is a great story. A woman who tried to claim an over $700,000 case for injuries that she suffered in a car crash lost her case after she was pictured winning a Christmas tree throwing contest.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Camilla Grabska said that she was left with a disabling condition following an accident in February 2017 when the vehicle she was in was hit from behind. She had sued RSA Insurance on the basis that she could not work for more than 5 years, play with her children, or carry out basic chores because of constant back and neck pain.
Were some of those basic chores throwing Christmas trees?
Maybe, but the Irish High Court, she lives in Limerick, Ireland, and was shown a photo in a national newspaper of her hurling a spruce tree on January 28, 2018, during her hearing.
So she's enough of a dumbass that she enters a contest that's covered by local papers.
Mrs. Grabska argued that while she looked happy in the pictures from the charity event, she was still suffering from her injuries and endured pain to this day.
You need to understand that it really hurt.
But the judge, Caramel Stewart, threw out the case and remarked that the very graphic picture of her tossing the tree had helped her make the decision. The Irish Independent reported the judge as saying, "It is a very large, natural Christmas tree, and it is being thrown by her in a very agile movement. I'm afraid I cannot but conclude the claims were entirely exaggerated. On that basis, I propose to dismiss the claim."
Court has therefore concluded that you're a stupid bitch.
Mrs. Grabska told doctors her injuries were so severe after the accident she couldn't lift a heavy bag without feeling shooting pain. She said there were times when her husband had to bring medication to her in bed because of her pain. She quit her job following the crash and took disability payments. But the court heard just a few days before she had informed doctors of her condition, she had finished top place in the charity Christmas tree throwing event.
She should have suggested that the doctor had her on physical therapy that included tree throwing.
During the hearing, some of the footage was also submitted in evidence from November last year that showed Miss Grabska training her large dog in a park for more than an hour.
So I have to assume that the tree throwing is kind of like a shot put or like a javelin distance sort of deal?
They just throw it for as far as they can get it. She denied the suggestion that she had faked her injuries, telling the court that she was simply trying to live a normal life. A South Carolina woman desecrated numerous graves on her way to meet someone on Tuesday. The unnamed driver decided her time was more important than that of the deceased. Police in Livonia, Georgia, say that she was late for an appointment when she chose to mow down multiple tombstones at the Livonia Cemetery.
Wouldn't that cause damage to the vehicle?
You would think so, right? Photos from the scene show how her SUV crash landed on a brick structure that appears to be a gravesite. County deputies showed up moments later. Police say the woman drove down Interstate 85 through Livonia and into Livonia Cemetery. Once she damaged several graves, she ran on foot but was quickly captured. Police said that she was sent back to nearby Oconee County, South Carolina for processing.
Pissed off a lot of spirits.
Yep. India, railways in India has ordered an investigation after a runaway freight train loaded with loaded with gravel traveled 43 miles without a driver at all.
It's a runaway train.
Yeah, about 50 carriages set off solo on Sunday from the northern state of Jammu to Punjab before being brought to a halt by wooden blocks placed on the tracks. A railway spokesperson said, "We have ordered an inquiry into this. No one was hurt in the incident."
So what was the maximum speed it reached as moving along?
62 miles per hour.
Whoa!
It was hauling ass.
Yeah.
And the train was captured on video that went viral on social media. The incident happened after the train stopped at a station in Jammu for a crew change. It then began moving down a slope after the driver and his assistant had disembarked.
They even had to call in some people from Shimon.
All road crossings on the route were closed to prevent any accidents. So
it's right out of that Denzel Washington movie, Preston.
A 33-year-old Newton man was arrested on Sunday evening after setting fire to a restaurant bathroom in Boston.
Listen, I've taken some real heavy ones too. But the notion of burning the bathroom down.
The man had been at Lola 42. The staff refused to serve him because they said he was intoxicated upon arrival. And
all right, I'll show you.
He threw his water at the bar after being turned away. He then went into the restroom where he engaged in destructive behavior and upon exiting informed the staff that there's fire in the bathroom.
Put that out.
The fire department found a blaze in the trash barrel and extinguished it, though a manager for the restaurant declined to comment. She stated that there were no injuries and said that it was an isolated incident. Police officers arrested David Gong, and Gong will be charged with burning of a public building. One last story. A Marlborough, Massachusetts man is facing multiple charges, including strangulation, after he attacked a person inside a local dentist's office.
What the hell?
You know, you're never in a good mood when you go to the dentist's office.
But no one is.
Except Kathy. The attack happened Wednesday when a 29-year-old walked inside and started fighting with a man in the waiting room. Police said the two men did not know each other. The fight escalated when the man started strangling the victim.
I want to fight you.
The fight was over by the time police arrived.
Get away from me.
The 29.
You've been seen by dental hygienist.
The 29-year-old resident was arrested on charges of assault and battery, and disturbing the peace, and strangulation as well. And that is what I have in the bizarre file for you this morning. We will break when we when we return, we will get the lesson question and dive into the trash and music news as well. So stay with us. 93.3 WMMR brings you the Red Hot Chili Peppers in Danny, California. 10:27 on this Tuesday morning, the Preston and Steve show. We have a really cool thing happening on Thursday before we head to Cardboard Classic. We're doing an event here in the studio, and it is our Leap Day birthday party that is sponsored by Live Casino and Hotel in Philadelphia. So we have contestants that reach out to us, and we managed to choose 5 people that are celebrating a birthday on the 29th, a very rare thing. That they actually get to celebrate a birthday because it happens only every 4 years.
That's right. They get screwed out of birthdays.
So I would like to welcome ahead of time David Crum from Titusville, Corinne Cronigal from Morrisville, Jessica Bell from Aston, Jen Lindberger from Harleysville, and Sean Smith from Drexel Hill. And not only are they going to get a gift from, well, I'm going to save it. They're going to get a really cool gift from Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia.
It is awesome, yeah.
Which we were not expecting, and it was a very nice thing for that crew to do. So we're going to have them in on Thursday, and if it's your birthday as well, just celebrate along with us at home. And we will we'll have a good time. I guarantee you that. And we're going to do, listen, they're only, very few of them are double digits, I would imagine.
No, it'd be hard to imagine.
Yeah, so we'll find out how old everybody is when they get in here. We have something else going on now, though. It's a lesson question. We have a pair of tickets to give away as MMR rocks Kings of Leon at the Man on September 23rd. And the question I believe we'll go with is, which actor's name is now a way we like to greet each other? 215-263-WMMR. Let's see if you know the answer. Which actor's name is now a way we like to greet each other? 215-263-WMMR is actually said a few times on the show this morning. Let's see if you were listening while you call in. we'll do this trash thing.
The trash business is a gold mine.
93.3 WMMR with Preston and Steve's Hollywood Trash.
All right, let's see where we go today. Steve, what do you have for us, please?
Well, Busta Rhymes seemingly got into an altercation at a club last night with fellow rapper Nizzle Man at the famous Shade Room. Busta says words were exchanged with Nizzle when it began to drizzle, but everything's cool for shizzle.
Oh my God.
Stranger Things creator Ross Duffer's wife Lee has just filed for divorce after 9 years of marriage. The judge overseeing the proceedings has made it clear that both parties could be facing the death penalty if this delays season 5. And finally, Kendall Jenner and NBA star Devin Booker are rekindling their relationship, but are said to be taking things slowly. Kendall says the two are starting things right from the beginning, with her just dribbling his balls.
Oh, my God.
That's your Hollywood Trash.
Let us see if you know the answer to this question. Which actor's name is now a way we like to greet each other? 215-263 WMMR. And we will go to Eric. Hi, Eric. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. How do we like to greet each other? Which actor's name?
Benicio del Toro.
Yes. And a Benicio del Toro to you. Eric, hang on the line. We're going to give you a pair of tickets, MMR Rocks Kings of Leon, and it is the Can We Please Have Fun tour. Monday, September 23rd at the Man. Special guests, Pentagram. And tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. via Ticketmaster. You can go to WMMR.com for ticket pre-sale password and for another chance to win tickets there. So do it now.
Now, Preston and Steve's Music News on 93.3 WMMR.
All right, we got a few things to sort out here in music news. We'll start with this interesting story about Don Henley. He said Monday that he never gave away handwritten pages of draft lyrics to Hotel California and other Eagles hits, calling them, quote, very personal, in a testimony that also delved into an ugly but unrelated episode, which was his 1980 arrest. Don is the prosecutor's star witness in an unusual criminal trial surrounding the lyric sheet. Henley says that they were stolen decades ago from his barn in Malibu, California. He testified Monday that he was appalled when the material began turning up at auctions in 2012. He said it just wasn't something that was for public viewing. It was our process. It was something very personal, very private, he said. I still wouldn't show that to anybody. The defendants are three collectibles experts who bought the pages years later through a writer who had worked with the Eagles on a never-published band biography. The defense maintains that Henley willingly gave them to the scribe. On a cross-examination, Henley acknowledged that he didn't remember, quote, the entirety of his conversations with the writer, Ed Sanders, who isn't charged in the case, by the way, nor, Henley said, could he recall whether he gave Sanders permission to take the documents off of the property. But Henley insisted that he gave Sanders only access to the documents, not permanent possession of them, in the hopes that a firsthand view of the time and effort that went into the lyrics would improve the book. He said he told Sanders that he could look at the pages, ideally at a breakfast table in an apartment upstairs from the barn. He said, I never gave him permission to keep those items. At issue are about 100 sheets of legal pad paper inscribed with lyrics in the making for multiple songs on the Hotel California album. The defendants, rare book dealer Glenn Horowitz and rock memorabilia specialist Craig Inciardi and Edward Kaczynski, have pleaded not guilty to charges, including criminal possession of stolen property. Their lawyers say that there was nothing illegal in what happened to the lyric sheet. Now, the defense has signaled that it plans to question Henley about how clearly he remembers his conversations with Sanders during an era in which the rocker was living in his own fast lane. In an apparent attempt to diffuse some of those questions, the prosecutor brought up Henley's 1980 arrest. Henley pleaded no contest in 1981 to a misdemeanor charge of contributing to the delinquency of a minor after authorities found cocaine, quaaludes, marijuana, and a naked 16-year-old girl suffering from an overdose at his Los Angeles home the prior November. He was sentenced to probation and a $2,500 fine, and he requested a drug education program to get some possession charges dismissed. He testified Monday that he had been depressed about the Eagles' 1980 breakup and sought an escape by calling for a sex worker that night. He said, I made a poor decision, which I regret to this day. As for his memory, He said, I can't tell you what I had for breakfast last Friday morning, but I can tell you where we stayed when we played Wembley in 1975 and we opened for Elton John and the Beach Boys, referring to London's Wembley Stadium. Sanders had begun working with the Eagles in 1979 on the band biography that never made it into print. He sold the documents to Horowitz, who sold them to Kaczynski and NCRD. In a 2005 email to Horowitz, Sanders said that Henley's assistant had sent him the documents for the biography project. Henley reported them stolen after NCRD and Kaczynski began in 2012 to offer them at various auctions. And in fact, Henley bought 4 of the pages back in for $8,500 in 2012.
There's a lot of layers to this thing.
He has testified that he resented having to buy back what he contends was his own property, but he said that he saw it as, quote, the most practical and expedient way to get the auction listing, which contained photos of the lyric sheets, off the internet. Kaczynski's lawyers, however, have argued that the transaction implicitly recognized his ownership. Meanwhile, Horowitz and NCRD started working up an alternate story about how Sanders got a hold of the manuscripts, according to the prosecutors. Among the alternate stories were that they were left behind backstage at an Eagles concert, that Sanders received them from someone he couldn't recall, and that he got them from Glenn Fry. Fry, of course, had died by the time Horowitz broached that last option. That last option in 2017. So this is just getting started.
It's very complex, and the fact that they purposefully pulled out that situation with the prostitute, which is long in the past. They're trying to they're going hardcore at each other.
Yep. I believe Bob wrote the song "Dirty Laundry" in reference to the coverage that story got back in the day. I think that's what motivated him to write that song, if I remember correctly. So
that's what Don Henley was. It was.
Did I say Bob? I'm sorry. Yeah, Don Henley. That Don wrote that song about the media coverage that was at that time.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think you said Bob because of the clip that we have, the drop. Bob.
Oh, that's
probably.
it.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
No, I looked. I glanced down to this the page that I had set aside, and it says "But Henley."
Bob.
And I thought it said Bob Henley.
Bob Henley's his cousin.
Well,
Bob.
he lets me call him Bob.
You guys are tight.
Yeah.
I couldn't get past the fact that there was a guy in that story named Ed Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
One letter away from Ted.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's the good one. Actually, Kaczynski was turned in by
his brother.
By his brother, yeah.
But I don't think it was. I think it was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his brother's name?
Gus.
It was Bob.
Bob Kaczynski.
Oh, Bob Kaczynski.
Bob.
I don't know. Nick will do some digging and find that information out. For you.
It's actually Benicio.
Del Toro.
Benicio Kaczynski.
Benicio Kaczynski.
Benicio del Toro Kaczynski.
Frontman Brent Smith says Shinedown is working on new music. He said, we're already in the studio. We already in the studio. We've been working on new materials
Just
for a
ask
while.
Bob.
And
Bob.
starting the architecture. What are you laughing at, Romano?
Bob.
Bob.
He said, we're already in the studio. We've been working on new material for a while and starting the architecture on what's going to be the international plan for 2025 and 2026.
Do we have an international plan?
Not yet.
We never. We always pretty much remain domestic.
Yeah. Smith described the plan as quite massive. He went on to say that the band will be announcing more shows soon and alluded to even more announcements later this year. By the way, it was David Richard Kaczynski. David
Richard
Kaczynski.
Kaczynski.
Richard
Kaczynski.
Richard
Kaczynski. Original Foreigner frontman Lou Graham has released a video message.
Dear God. We have so many damn clips.
So many names.
Expressing his gratitude for the band's nomination for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In a 1-minute clip, he thanked the Rock Hall as well as fans and his band members. He also acknowledged Mick Jones.
Nope.
Okay. For his courage as he faces Parkinson's.
Ooh.
About being nominated, Graham said that he has definitely been feeling the buzz. It's really exciting, he said, and it means a lot. It means a lot to me and all the guys in the band. To be eligible for the ballot, each nominee's first single or album had to have been released by 1999 or earlier. Foreigner's first hit, Feels Like the First Time, was released in 1977.
Wow.
So they've been eligible for quite a long time. For years, in interviews, Paul McCartney rejected the notion that Yesterday was inspired by his mother. Well, in
It
a
wasn't.
Oh, God. This guy.
Why do you keep saying that?
Because it was.
No.
No. In a recent edition of the podcast, McCartney, A Life and Lyrics, he said, some did suggest to me that this was
It was about my daughters?
No, was a Losing My Mother song.
Oh, okay.
He said, which I always said, no, I don't think so.
No.
But the more you think about it, why'd she have to go? Or why'd she have to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. This is what
Why'd she
he's
play
saying.
me like that?
Excuse me?
Why'd she play me like that? Yeah, I'd heard that mother thing.
Yeah, he said, so losing your mother to cancer, no one said anything. We didn't know what it was at all. She died when he was 14, by the way.
What was her name?
What's that?
What was her name?
Bob.
Oh, I don't remember what Paul's mother's name was. It was Bob McCartney.
Was it
Bobby Dio
for Bobalina.
What the hell are we talking about?
I don't know.
Anyhow, referring to the line.
Forget the time I got lost in the Grand Canyon. Fortunately, my mates had put some Franken beans in my flashlight.
Cindy!
Actually, what was his first wife's name?
Linda.
No.
Stella!
No, we're talking about his mother.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's Mary.
It's Carol.
Mother
Carol
Mary
Brady.
comes to me.
Right. Speaking words of wisdom.
That is correct. Casey.
Brady.
Now, he wrote that song, yes, about his mom, a dream that he had.
Right.
But he's saying about the line, I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday. Paul said, I remember very clearly one day feeling very embarrassed because I embarrassed my mom.
I said Benicio del Toro.
He was...
Didn't mean it.
He was referring to teasing her about her Irish accent, and it stuck with him through the years.
Oh, wow. Could you imagine that?
Maybe that's... But he still doesn't claim that the song is about her. I'd never
What
heard
was he talking
that.
about?
According to BMI, it was performed live over 7 million times in the 20th century. Wow. And in 1997, Yesterday was inducted into the Grammy Song Hall of Fame. It's one of the most recorded songs of all time, too. Different versions of it.
So that little refrain about the making fun of her Irish accent. So that if that does... Okay. So is it or is it not about his mother?
I don't think it is. I think maybe he's realizing that people have said this and he said no, but then he's maybe going, well, maybe some of the lyrics were informed by how I was feeling at the time about my mom, so
Right.
I think the song just kind of came to him anyway. I don't think he sat down and he had something.
There was time to think when I was in the Grand Canyon. I was lost, Your
mind wanders.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Stars is a little creek.
Oh, yes, and over all the thousands of years.
Right.
We're going geology
Yeah,
now?
we're going. Absolutely. At one point, it was a little creek.
Sure, yeah.
Look at it now.
A big old hole in the ground.
You get lost in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I had my mates had put Franken beans in the flashlight. Just in case.
All right, that's it. That was music news.
Yeah.
I just did not know. Yeah. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in a second and wrap the program up, so stay with us, please. Godsmack. 93.3 WMMR. Soul on fire. I like that.
Okay, sich up!
Godsmack. It is 10:53 on this fine Monday morning, and temperatures going up to 65 degrees today. Rain coming into the area by this afternoon. Just heads up on that.
But warm.
And yeah, and a warm one again tomorrow. High 65 or so with some rain expected. So today has been a fun show. I would like to thank our guest via Zoom, Tim Blake Nelson. And his son, Henry Nelson, on to promote a movie called Asleep in My Palm. It does look really, really good.
It does. It looks like a real, an amazing movie with amazing performances, rave reviews. I would love to get both those guys in the studio.
Yeah.
That would be great.
And also thank you to Mira Sorvino,
Hey!
who's on the program as well, and appearing Sunday at the Keswick Theater for a screening of Romy M. Shell's high school reunion, and she was lovely too.
Yeah, and I just watched it again for the 5,000th time last night. It holds up. It's amazing, and to hear her tell stories about it, I'm sure it's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. Pierre Robert is here. Hey, man.
Hey there. You know, the Keswick, what she's doing is part of a series that the Keswick has been doing. They've had all kinds of movie stars there. John Cusack, I can't think of all of them. But
Carrie Elways, A Princess Bride. Yeah, it's wonderful, especially if you're a fan of the movie. It's amazing.
And to see the actor there talking about the film that you love by the actor who, played the role or a role that you might have been moved by, it's really cool. So the Keswick deserves great credit for this ongoing series, which this show you guys talked about is a part of.
There's 2 more coming up, Preston. Pierre, that we're trying to get on. It's William H. Macy's going to do one for Fargo, which is really cool. And then Judge Reinhold is doing one, and I forget.
Fast Times?
Yeah, Fast Times. Thanks, Steve. Yeah.
Wow.
So it is. It's a great series, and they're just, it's really open. You can ask them anything about the movies, and it's a fun series.
I loved your question, Nick, about the Poconos, because I never knew that her father had lived in the Poconos.
Yeah.
Which is
he actually had a sled in the Cardboard Classic.
So, great stuff.
Yeah, excellent. So letter of the day?
Yeah.
All right, let me get that. Here we go.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
Now, the Daily Letter.
And the Preston and Steve show is brought to you today by the letter.
You as in understanding.
All right, and we will give away our prize on Friday. We have a 4-pack of Party Zone tickets, and it is for Wings prize pack as well. The Philadelphia Wings game on Sunday, March 10th. Each ticket includes 3 drinks, plus you get a $30 food voucher for each person. And the Philadelphia Wings are back in action at the Wells Fargo Center throughout March. The Party Zone gets you close to the action for just $39. You get 3 drinks, private bar and restrooms, and turf level view of the game, and assortment of lawn and party games. Tickets are on sale now at wingslax.com. Real quick, before we find out what you have going on, Pierre, we had a Tattoos Day today.
Hey!
We got to get ourselves a winner, so I'd like to congratulate Lynn Dugan. She's from Dover, Delaware. Lynn, congratulations to you. We are going to give you a $350 gift certificate for Floating World Tattoo and Piercing. And you can check them out at 1729 South Street in Philadelphia. For artwork samples, it's simple. Go to floatingworldtattoos.com or check them out on Instagram at Floating World Tattoos. So congrats. What you got in store for today, man?
Before that, it just occurred to me as you're saying that, MMR has so many different things we've done over the years. I've often thought it'd be great to have a book full of all the prizes the station has given away.
God.
I have a tape of an early giveaway for a Moody Blues record, and you had to send a postcard in. And I think they gave away 25 records or something, albums. And a couple of years back on one of our anniversaries, we met the guy who won one of them. Which is pretty cool. But as you're talking about that, I'm thinking MMR's given away so many prizes, but you guys alone have given away so many prizes. But then if you narrow that down one more step, I could see a coffee table book of all the tattoos that you've given away.
And there's been hundreds, if not thousands.
Or at the very least, like a section of the website dedicated to, because from the earliest days when we were doing them here and blood was spilling everywhere, I'm kidding. But it was, to the days now where people are continuing to get these tattoos. You guys have given away thousands of tattoos.
Well, something about it, not just the Tuesday ones, before like sporting events where we had people come in and whether it be Eagles tattoos or Flyers tattoos, or there've been a ton of them.
Yeah. And when Kathy got the motorcycle on her back, I mean,
on my back.
I love that one. Yeah. And she's got a battleship on her lower leg.
Yeah.
It's
my
so
calf,
cool.
my whole calf.
Yeah, yeah. And the firing guns. Anyway, on my program today, if you have to have battleship, you have to have firing guns.
Absolutely. You have to have firing guns. Any serviceman knows that.
It's a captain. Get your firing guns. Anyway, I make a lot of sense. Stay with me.
Fire.
That's when the ship's doctor goes up to when we're going to need to take the captain into custody. He's clearly having a breakdown.
All right. So, workforce blocks today will contain Judas Priest, Alice in Chains, and The Revivalist, which is great fun, and it's Double Shot Tuesday.
Awesome. And I want to thank our sponsors. The Preston and Steve Show brought to you today by Dunkin', and the Preston and Steve Show runs on Dunkin'. Also brought to you by Acme Markets Fresh Foods, local flavors. Tomorrow, a Wednesday morning, so that means Fox Good Day, little TV, and a secret text word, and whatever else we can throw at the wall. So
Yes.
that's it. We're done. Rage on. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, friend. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.